The opinions expressed on this show do not necessarily reflect those of the Barber's Chat Network, our great partners at H&B Media, or any of our media peers. We're just five idiots who love sports and love to talk shit. If you're offended easily, then this show isn't for you. And for those who aren't offended easily, sit back, relax, and enjoy the show. Remember, it's only entertainment.
So cool.
Triple double hat trick, I know the code too. Ice trade, go for trade, yeah, we cold too. Getting paper on these player haters, old news. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold you. Money on the other line, so I'm not gonna hold. My agent just said we made 100 flat. Make it back and make it stack. This like no Steven Jack. Put my rings up in the camera like I needed that. Up in the air and at the rim is where I meet them at.
Before we start the show, we want to thank our sponsors, Pillars. Pillars is the best clothing line in the Chicagoland area. If you're looking for a dope hoodie, a sweatsuit, shirts, shoes, or even stuff for your kids, Pillars is where you should go. You can visit any of their 4 store locations in the Chicagoland area or visit pillarsclub.co and order online. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome back to yet another edition of I'm Not Gonna Hold You, man. I am your host, Scott Lewis. You know to follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarbChairScott. You can follow the Barber's Chair Network at Barber's Chair Net on Twitter and Instagram. Follow H&B Media at H&B Media TV on Twitter, at H&B Media on Instagram. And, of course, get in tune with our sponsors, Pillars. You can visit pillarsclub.co or visit their social media on Instagram at pillars_club and get all the information, all their clothing, all their shoes. Visit any of their 4 store locations in the Chicagoland area. Man, we have got a super packed show for you today to kick off this NFL Combine week. We have got the homie and Chicago Sun-Times beat reporter for the Chicago Bears, Jason Leiser, will be joining us later on in the program to go over everything that's been going on in Chicago Bears land as we get ready for the Combine to officially kick off tomorrow. Ryan Poles will be having a press conference. What can we expect from that? You know, what's going on with the stuff that Peter King was talking about, and of course, all the other things involving the Bears' big decision coming up. We've got the homie Pavy joining as we do Weekend in the Association. Talk about everything that happened this past weekend, man. The Suns got a big win over the Lakers. Bucks starting to string some wins together, and what exactly are the New Orleans Pelicans? Are they good or are they not? And that's exactly how good are the Mavs? Can they make a run? And a whole bunch of other stuff. And of course, we've got a new segment we will be debuting at the end of this episode. The homie comedian Larry Legend will be joining us as our new culture correspondent. We'll be going over all the things that's been going on in Black entertainment, culture, and things like that. We will be bringing in my cast in just a minute, but I'm going to start this off with my sound off, man. And my sound off today is welcome to NFL Combine Week. This is something where I feel like besides the last couple years, I don't really feel like it's been that big of an event. But when the NFL became like a 24/7, 365 type league the last, I'll say, probably 5 years, this has really been something that's been a big, event. You can see some of the rookies, what they're going to look like, potential rookies. It's gossip central of what's going to happen with trades and draft picks. And the Bears are at the center of all of it. Last night, it all dropped when Peter King dropped a kind of a bomb, a troll bomb, I like to call it, in the middle of the night, to say what the Bears' intentions might be as far as keeping Justin Fields or not keeping Justin Fields. And my one thing to say about this is, as J.R. Bain likes to say, content is king. Make sure you double and triple check all the sources that come in, because there's going to be a lot of people claiming they know stuff, and a lot of people don't know they know stuff. Some shit might be true, some shit might be not, man. So get ready for all of the madness going on NFL Combine Week, man, and this is the place to get it started. So let's bring in the rest of my squad, man. My co-host today, we have got the one and only J.R. Bang. You can follow him at J.R. Bang on all social media platforms. We've got my man's, he is our Morehouse man on the show. He is co-producer of this TV show and president of the Barbershop Network, Mr. Dante Miles. You can follow him at October Zone Tay. And we've got Mikey, he is back, finally back on the show. You can follow him, Junior_Solito on Twitter. He is also our gambling resident. As you can see, he's got the amazing sights of South Beach in the background of his show. But here we are, new episode, man. How y'all feeling, man? It's been a busy day already.
I'm great, bro. First gotta lead off the show. Shout out to our good brother Justin Baker. Getting married over the weekend. Shout out to the Bakers. Uh, all is love, all is well. Woke up with some more foolish optimism thanks to the great article that dropped. We're gonna get into that, but I'm solid, bro. I really can't complain. How y'all boys been?
Doing pretty good, Mikey. How's it feel to be back on the show?
Vibing, man. It feels good to have some free time and be able to get back to the show regularly, how we do on Mondays and Fridays. So I'm all good, ready for the combine. I think a little bit more ready for baseball season. So we're here, man. Spring is here. It's already about to be March 1st. Rent is due. Rent is coming up, y'all.
Rent is unfortunately due, as I was reminded this morning. Bang, what's going on, Bang?
Pay my mortgage.
Oh, this nigga said I got mortgage.
Your
Nigga.
mortgage, my bad, my bad.
I mean, shit.
Nigga said rent. I got mortgage, nigga.
But that shit's paid. Goddamn it. Yeah. So make sure y'all pay y'all shit, man, because they want y'all out of y'all shit now. But nah.
Oh, 100%.
But nah, man, everything's good, man. There's a lot of content that's gonna be coming down this next week and a half, 2 weeks. I'm excited to talk about it because it sounds like to me Peter King listened to the local hour. If I ain't gonna hold you.
Speaking of the local hour, you can subscribe to the Patreon right now. Patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. So you can get the local hour. You can get all of the segments, all the clips before everybody else gets them. So you can do all of that, man. Patreon.com/Barbers Chat Network. On the local hour today, we'll be, just really talk about everything that's been going on with the combine. We'll recap the interview we're having with Jason Leiser, which should be coming up within the hour, man. Got a lot of stuff going on, but I will say this about this week: it started off with a bang, and no pun intended. But I think that right now, man, let's just get into, Peter King. Peter King last night, as I was the only one on the timeline because everybody else in here is on Eastern and Central timeline. I was like, oh no, I was finna like, yo, these niggas gotta wake up, bro. I gotta see the reaction to this Peter King bomb, man. But basically, for those of you who don't know, Peter King dropped his Monday morning quarterback article that he's dropped, really this his whole career, man, and really just this is his last one, as he stated. So shout out to Peter King for a luxurious and successful career. I actually ran into Peter King a couple times during training camp last year, but here is what he said in the piece, which kind of stood out to not just me but everybody and had Bears Twitter in a frenzy this morning. He says, I suppose the Bears are going to trade the top pick. I know nothing, but that seems to be the way the wind is blowing. What I say, the Bears could keep Justin Fields and should, and trade the first pick down once or twice and build the kind of supporting cast the team needs to contend. Suppose GM Ryan Poles trade the pick down one spot to Washington, which would take Caleb Williams, and got the second pick, a second-round pick, and a 2025 first-round pick in return. Then suppose Poles traded the second pick to Atlanta at 8, and the Falcons pick one of the other quarterbacks. In return, Chicago gets the 8th and first and second-round picks next year. Imagine moving from 1 to 8 and ending up in this draft haul. The 8th and 9th, their own overall picks in round 1 this year. Second-round picks from Washington, Atlanta this year. 3 first-round picks and 2 second-round picks in 2025. For moving down 7 picks in the first round, the Bears can end up with 9 picks in the first 2 rounds of the next 2 drafts. Instant infrastructure. That will be crazy. I think the thing that stood out to me, one thing I'll say this: Bears Twitter it's always been a hellhole, but it's been particularly a hellhole this offseason, especially today, with people who are, Team Caleb or super saying he doesn't know what he's talking about, which is crazy to say. Peter King doesn't know what the fuck he's talking about. And you got some people who are called Justin truthers who are, excited and acting like this 100% means that Justin Fields was coming back. To me, this is like when you give somebody advice, you like, oh, but I don't know nothing, no. That's pretty much what it is. Like, you saying something, but just in case it backfires, they can't come back on you. And that's pretty much what I got from this. Peter King, as you know from his career, he's never been a guy to just say shit. If he says things, it means he's heard it from a couple important people, which makes the scene seem this is actual a reality. I will say this. I think there's still 9 times out of 10, 95% chance that come April 25th, Caleb Williams will be the Chicago Bears quarterback. But I am starting to think more and more, like I said on the show last week, that all options are on the table. And maybe that this is something where they're not even 100% sure they're going to let go of Justin Fields. Maybe they're just trying to see what's out there. Or maybe they're trying to boost Justin's trade value itself. There's a lot of different ways that this thing could mean for the Chicago Bears. And I think that Ryan Poles is playing this perfectly to not everybody's trying to figure out what does this mean? What's going to happen? And tomorrow during his press conference, that's going to be really entertaining to see what exactly he's going to say. From what I've known being around Ryan Poles last 2 years, I don't think he's going to say much at all. It's going to be a pretty much, tell me, what do you think that means type fest. But, Bang, you said that Peter King's been listening to the local hour. What do you think about his report and what exactly does it mean to you?
First of all, I'm sorry. I just got irritated by looking at a Colin Cowherd thing where he said that the Chicago media has been protecting Justin Fields and buying in. He definitely don't watch.
Well, he definitely don't know anything about Chicago
because
media.
Everybody in Chicago media wants Justin gone for Caleb Williams. And this is why I'm bringing this up. I hate national media because they don't really pay attention to the shit that's going on here. They don't. So you have to be a very well known and very balanced person to come out and say something about Justin Fields at this point. You would have to be somebody that's really truly in the know, very well respected in NFL circles, and don't bullshit. Ladies and gentlemen, that's Peter King. A retiring Peter King. He took time in his retirement article to say, hey, I don't know nothing, but the winds seem to be going in the direction of Justin Stan. I think you got to take it seriously. If this was anybody else, for the exception of Peter King and my man Jake Leiser, if it could be anybody else, even Schefter, and I'd be like, you know what? It's nothing to think about. But those two people are very tied in to the NFL. And even if don't nobody tell them something directly, even if Ryan Poles don't go up to them and be like, yo, this is what's going on, they are so tied into the NFL to where they can see at least the tea leaves. So I believe that Justin's going to get traded. I don't think that nothing's going to change until something happens. I feel like he's going to get traded. But in the essence of content is king, in the essence of the combine week and this being chatty patty season and all of that, there's one voice that I feel like you got to take seriously, and that's Peter King.
Mikey, what does this article mean to you? What do you think he's saying about it, and what do you feel like people questioning Peter King's credibility here?
Well, to go to your last point, to question Peter King is just fucking moronic. He's put in his time. Obviously, he's a legend as far as being an ambassador for the game, being a journalist for the game. He's been to 40 straight fucking Super Bowls. He's tapped in. As far as it goes into the Justin, Caleb, Ryan Poles, what does he do? I tend to lean with you. I'm 9 out of 10 times thinking they're going to choose a quarterback. I think 9 out of 10 times it'll probably be Caleb Williams. For me, I think this piece by Peter King might be a little bit of a smokescreen for Ryan Poles, and to go ahead and say, hey, we're going to Indianapolis. I'll be here for a week. You guys know I got the number 1 pick. You know what I did last year. You guys also know I'm holding on to Justin Fields and his 5th-year option. Let me throw this out there. Let me see what teams are willing to offer on both sides. Before I go into these meetings with Caleb Williams, before I go into these meetings with Drake May, Jaden Daniels, J.J. McCarthy, Bo Nix, Michael Penix, before I get to sit down and see what type of person they are, go ahead. bring your best offers up, because I think this is the week where he's gonna decipher all that information and then go ahead and say, all right, we're moving forward. We're taking the number 1 pick, and this is what we have on the field for Justin, or we're gonna keep Justin. This is the offers that we have, and multiple offers. Maybe this is where where Peter King. I think it's very. I think you have to pay attention to the fact that he specifically mentioned those 2 teams. And what did we see over the weekend? We saw that Atlanta is really coveting Drake May. In order to do that, they need to get up to the top 2 picks, top 3 picks, really. So I think it's interesting that he mentioned those 2 teams. So we need to see now, what type of dialogue does Ryan Poles have with Terry Fontenot over in Atlanta? Hey, FYI, if I were to move back, are you somebody that's interested in moving up for said quarterback? What if there's a team like the New York Giants? What if Poles doesn't want to go back to 2? What if he wants to go back to number 5 or number 6? Because the package will be bigger, pause, for number 1. So I just think this is the time to go ahead and plant those seeds and gather as much information as possible. And I think by the end of this week, there will be a clear-cut answer on the position that they're going with, and that's whether to keep Justin or take a quarterback.
Dante, you are the Justin Fields flag bearer on this show. Did this get you any excited about the possibility of maybe Uno coming back to the crib?
Somewhat, because I'll be honest. It's always been there, and at the end of the day, nobody truly knows. And I'll give this as a credit. I'll say that as a credit to Ryan Poles and Kevin Warren. They've kept everything in house. They got rid of the mole. So it's one of those things where, even when somebody like Peter King, who has been in the building, who is respected, even when he says it, yeah, it was exciting to hear it, especially when I read through everything, because that's something that we talked about at the beginning of this entire Justin Caleb debate. It was like, let's go get a haul. Let's go do that and see how that goes and build the team out. And we talked about it a little bit off camera, but I think at the end of the day, it's still just another option. I don't take Peter King as the type to plant stories for someone. I don't think so. So I think if he heard it, he definitely heard it. Now, how close we are to that actually happening, it remains to be seen. But in terms of Peter King, you can't question his credibility. I think Monday Morning Quarterback, as somebody who's a writer, that's something I used to read every Monday for years, especially in high school. That was day one, like step one of my fucking Monday mornings was reading his column. So, shout out to him, salute to him and everything he's done for the media game. But no, Peter King's not somebody that just says things. So it definitely, piqued my interest because I'm somebody who is still one of the few people that believes if we keep Justin, it's because he's going to take off. But it remains to be seen, bro.
Yeah, and the thing too, if you see from like his media peers, I guess you want to say, Rich Eisen today said, yeah, Peter King just don't throw stuff out there. Dan Patrick did even more of a deep dive into it. Like, yeah, he heard from a couple people, especially when you say especially in his final Monday morning quarterback.
Man,
like, what's the point of putting that in your final Monday morning quarterback? That's why I feel like that's
I don't mean to interrupt you, Scott.
Oh, go ahead.
But considering what I just sent in the text to us about Colin Cowherd and what we've been saying, the national media has no idea what the hell is going on with the Chicago Bears. Yeah. Like, Colin Cowherd really said that he feels like the Chicago media is protecting Justin Fields. Like Cap didn't just go on that rant last week calling him a coward for hitting the unfollow button. Everybody in the Chicago media, which is radio, wants Caleb Williams. But to drive a story, to create content, to create a conversation, the host and their producers are going to be talking stupid. And they don't have to do it. But in Peter King's case, he's plugged in heavily. He ain't got to do it. And that's why I think he picked and chose his words carefully. He was like, yo, I ain't talked to nobody, but the wind seems to be pointing. The wind seems to be pointing in that direction.
That's him just dropping his nuts one last time on the table.
One last time.
Like, hey, I know what the biggest storyline is in the NFL this offseason. It's in regards to the Chicago Bears. I'm out, but hey, I don't know nothing, but
Right.
I
He
suppose they
pulled
might trade it. Right.
he pulled the Nori on Paid in Full. He said, "Ain't you when
Yep.
you get out, man?" He said, "Hey, man, I get
You
out right now." He said, "Y'all be cool. How y'all be cool, right? Water."
you
Yeah.
ain't seen me. You ain't seen me. I ain't seen you.
So
Yeah.
Yeah.
again, I don't think Justin's gonna get traded. But Peter King basically put fuel to the fire, and if it's somebody that can do it and it be legitimate, it's him. But he heard the local hour, and everything that he said in that is what I said in the local hour. If this shit is true about the Atlanta Falcons, specifically about the Atlanta Falcons, if this shit is true, then it is very interesting from a Bears standpoint that you could trade down the two, and the Commanders can
Hey,
get
can
them,
I
and
ask?
then boom.
I know you said when we had the homie Nick Hamilton on here from Friday, he said there is such thing as a dumb question. So I'm gonna ask a dumb question.
Yes.
Uh, why is there so much vitriol in Bears Twitter right now? It's like I feel like people want, and like I said, this is a dumbass question. I feel like Bears fans want to be more right about their choice than it is the Bears actually getting this right, which as
Yeah.
we're supposed to be all Bears fans is
Yeah.
asinine to me.
Yeah,
Well,
that just goes to people being weird as fuck, bro. Like, and everything these
bingo.
days has like, how everybody's on one end of an extreme. And the problem is a lot of times to get shit solved, you need to meet in that gray area and have those conversations. But everybody, like you said, we pick a side, we're gonna dig into the sand. This is our side, this is how we feel. Who cares what anybody else feels? So that's how it is. But that's like when we sit here and we all lay out our points, we all say at the end of the day, the Bears are in a great spot, no matter who they pick,
Right.
no matter which way they go. We just have our reasons for why we want. But when you have people being called cowards compared to Mitchell Trubisky, who turned off the TVs in week 9, not when he was going on a fucking vacation. So that's just silly. But it makes no fucking sense, bro. So you say it's been nasty on Bears Twitter for like the past few weeks. Like motherfuckers been actually going to war out there. It's hilarious.
And by the way, Jason leaves you in the next 10 minutes, and I'm not gonna hold you. And this is something to me like the whole shit, bro. Like it's just nasty behavior. And by the way, shout out to all 31,000 y'all who watched the reel of me and Bang giving our opinion on the
Hey.
Cap situation. And as a notorious double downer, I actually respect Cap doubling down this morning. As a notorious double downer like myself.
He got to though. But see, Cap had to. And the reason why he had to is look, I think he saw our shit. Ain't no way in hell he ain't see our shit. Hell, I think Hood sent that shit to him too.
100%. I
And
was
his
thinking that
name.
shit today.
And
I was thinking that shit today.
I'm a double down on it too. It's lazy radio. And I'm a double down with it. And this part of it is personal for me. By being in the business of radio, being in the business of all of this shit. And there's some shit that I just see that be lazy. And what Cap did and what he did by doubling down was simply put lazy radio. I would say this shit here. I would say this shit in his face. I would say this shit in front of his producer. I said that shit to his co-host. That shit was lazy radio. Reason why it's lazy radio, because it was the easiest thing to do. It was the easy thing to just take this small topic and make it so bigger than what this shit was, just to make a statement and get some clicks and get some views, for you to just call this man a coward. For what? For no fucking reason at all. The shit was lazy. So I'm gonna double down on it again. And this is not just for Cap. This is for the national media. This is for the Colin Cowherds. This is for the Chris Cantys and that damn horrible ass morning show. This is for all of these people that sit on these shows and talk about Chicago from their perch that is nowhere near what we do. Just actually take a look at the goddamn landscape. None of these people, white men and black men, Jews and Gentiles, all that shit that Martin Luther King was saying, want Justin Fields back, but Lawrence Holmes. He is the only one.
And
Lawrence
Dante.
is the only one, my G. So all of y'all sitting up there saying that the Chicago media is protecting him. Protecting him from who? The Chicago media ain't did shit but protect like 3 people. Michael Jordan, Ron Sandberg, and Mark Grace. That's it.
Mark Grace is a random name, yeah.
They wasn't protecting Frank Thomas. They wasn't protecting Robert Ventura.
Shit, they didn't even protect Walter Payton.
They didn't
Shit,
protect Walter.
I'll do you one better. They threw fucking Derrick Rose down through the sewer.
Yeah.
And then stumped on the nigga again while he was down there.
So Colin Cowherd, who are they protecting? You don't know because you don't listen to Chicago radio. You don't look at Chicago TV. Better yet, your producer don't look at this shit. That's why y'all be coming up with these dumbass takes because y'all got horrible ass producers that be trying to find some dumb shit for y'all to talk about. And then y'all go on TV and say the dumbest shit. I don't even blame Colin Cowherd. I blame his producer for coming in with his piece of paper and going, this is what we're going to talk about today. And then y'all start saying dumb shit like the Chicago media protect Justin Fields. From who? They want Caleb Williams. They stroking their nuts is wet right now at the fact that Caleb Williams is going to be a Chicago Bear. Like, that's what it is right now. So
having
please,
QB town halls.
Yeah, so please, that's what kills me about the national media. If y'all really want to know, really ask a damn question because ain't nobody up in this mark thinking that Justin Fields is going to come back. And if he do, it's going to be a special report. People going to be on TV shocked in the motherfucker.
Oh, yes.
And then it's going to be 2 days before they be like, well, damn, we did get some picks. Oh, shit. But then it's going to be a whole load of people that's going to be crying their ass off, but saying, oh, we could have the best quarterback prospects.
Oh, and you know, that's why I kind of like, I'm in the middle of this. One, I would love to see that reaction, but also I don't want it for Justin. Everybody keeps talking about all this pressure with Caleb. No, nigga, the pressure is on Justin if he comes back.
Man,
you want to talk about pressure?
But
because
to go
ahead, Mike. My bad.
No, yeah, but to go back to your original point of how we got here, I think it's still like the after effects of the Trubisky failure. Like you're still holding on, like there's still a large fan base on Twitter and Bears fan base that were clinging to Mitch Trubisky and just happy that Justin failed so they could be like, see, it wasn't just Mitch, it wasn't just Mitch. So it's even in Cap's rant, and then the vitriol he had towards Justin last week, he brought up that kid's name, Mitchell Trubisky. Oh, but you see, you guys killed Mitch. It's just everybody is just so dug in the sand. Lines have been drawn all around, and it's not about even who, if the Bears get it right. It's just I want to get it right. But my Bears list, your group on Twitter, whoever you're part, my group needs to get it right. We see it with other people on podcasts. Some people are with other podcasts in Chicago. Some people are so fucking dug in on Justin that it's like, all right, this has to be a mental illness. And then some people are so dug in on Caleb Williams. There's no logic in between. And I honestly think it goes back to the failure of Mitch Trubisky and everybody just wanting whatever side you're on, somebody wants to be right.
Man, look, I'm going to say this, and I'm going to let it go. Somebody got to tell, outside of Mitch, somebody got to tell me the quarterback we killed. Did we kill Jim Harbaugh, Mike Tomczak? Did we kill, Kay McNown? Did we kill, Cordell Stewart? We have not been in this position before. So I understand that people, I understand why people pennies in the bunch right now. I'm a neutron in this shit. I ain't no GD, I ain't no Vice Lord. I'm a neutron in this shit right now. But at the same time, fam, I am sorry, man. And both of these sides is getting on my nerves. But at the same time, I'm more irritated at national media because the national media is the one that's fanning the flames. And all of these dumbasses on 200 or less of Twitter followers that comes up in our mentions to start talking this shit ain't really understanding that the dudes that they following don't even know what the hell they talking about.
The ones who got my Twitter account suspended for 12 hours last week.
They don't even know what they talking about because they listening to Colin Cowherd and shit. Fuck out of here, fam. I'm
gonna bring this around. We're gonna bring our guest in right now, man. I'm not gonna hold you. We have got the one and only Jason Leiser, Chicago Bears beat writer from the Chicago Sun-Times, also co-host of the Sports Adjacent podcast. And we officially have had both members of the Sports Adjacent podcast on the show. Shout out to the homie Russ Dorsey. Congratulations on your new deal with Yahoo Sports, man. Jason, this guy right here is a great dude. I'm gonna tell a quick story about when I did my first Bears game. It was 2 years ago now. It was 2021. We were in Vegas, and me and my brother was supposed to go, but my brother's flight got canceled last minute. Which is why you don't fly Spirit, but I digress. And so I had to figure something out last minute. Pavy drew me out there, and then Jason, Herb, and my guy Kevin Fishman were the first people who like welcomed me in to the Bears media team, man. So Jason, glad to have you on, man. What's going on?
I'm good, Scott. Man, it's good to know that meant something to you. I appreciate that. I appreciate you saying that. I'm in Indianapolis for the combine, and I heard just the last few minutes there, and I have a lot of questions. First off, like right off the bat, you got suspended from Twitter?
Oh, see, this is what happened. So last
For
week,
12 hours? Is that even? I didn't know that was a thing. That's like when I put my kids in a timeout. Like no.
Yeah,
iPad
they put me on Twitter timeout. They put me on Twitter timeout. I forgot what exactly I said. It was something about they tweeted me about it was I forgot what the actual quote was, but they said something. I hit him with the Chad Ochocinco, child, please. And some random dude was like, "Oh, that's how it looked. That's why I would say to you if I was looking right at you." And I was like, "Yeah, if you were looking right next to me, I'd smack the shit out you." And then
there it is.
As soon as I answer my, not even a second later, email from Twitter. You have violated our rules and regulations.
You got snitched on.
Yeah, right away. So I couldn't tweet till 1 a.m. So, but I'm not gonna let them do that to me this week.
That can't be the first time though, because like I follow you on Twitter, and I would expect you would get suspended like once a week.
You wasn't there for the Chris Conti years.
No, yeah. See, that was my last account. Thank God that account.
I thought
gone.
The double.
I thought you were about to get suspended. I thought you were about to get suspended from real life last year because we were at the draft in Kansas City last year, and you were just like ripping into these guys. Like some of these, you're like, "Oh, that guy sucks," or whatever. Somebody that got drafted, and there was this woman sitting next to me that said something that was very true. She's correct, but not really like a sports type opinion. She was like, I don't know if you heard her, but she was like, "None of these athletes suck. They're all very good." And I'm like, well, yeah, but he means relatively speaking.
Yeah, relatively speaking. Yeah. That was funny.
She was starting to like, bubble up a little bit.
I get that a lot. Joe was verbally trashing the Lions over the Jahmyr Gibbs draft. Then he said later, I was wrong as hell about that. I was wrong as hell about that. But Jason, good to have you on, man. Well, of course, everybody, the whole talk in the world right now is for NFL Combine. You're out there. Let's start off with what topic we were talking about just a second ago, the Peter King article, which he dropped off late at night last night, kind of like a little chaos bomb out there. What's your opinion on what he said? How much do you think is true and just about the whole thing he put out there?
I haven't read it, so you have to give me at least the bullet points. I'm gonna give you what's the principle that we're debating here.
So basically, in his final Monday morning quarterback last night, he stated that the Bears the winds are moving to them keeping Justin Fields. Let me get the actual quote right here. Here we go. He said, "I suppose the Bears are going to trade the top pick. I know nothing, but that seems to be the way the wind is blowing. What I say, the Bears can keep Justin Fields and should, and trade the first pick down once or twice and build the kind of supporting cast that the team needs." Basically, he goes on to say how many different picks they could get. And, from that situation, but he threw the I know nothing, but also the way the wind is blowing. What do you feel about, what he said there?
Right. Which is it then? That sounds like you're saying two things.
Yeah, exactly.
I would say I believe that the plan is to draft Caleb Williams. I think of it like this. Actually, my wife just asked me about this the other day, and she almost never asks me about stuff like this. But she was kind of asking me, like, what is the combine all about and stuff like that. And I was saying that I think that they have seen clearly that Caleb Williams is, as far as talent, the guy that they want. And now it's 3 months of let's fully vet that. Let's look through everything and make sure that we're right about that. As far as trade offers for number one and trade offers for Justin Fields, this is the time for Ryan Poles to stir up the market for both of those things. And if I was Ryan Poles and I was sitting here planning to use the number one pick to draft Caleb Williams, I'd still want to hear what the offers are because they're going to be unprecedented offers. They're going to be ridiculous offers. It's so crazy to me if you look back through what it has taken to trade up for the number one pick, the dozen or so times that it's happened. I was shocked by how little it took in so many of these cases. I think last year was when they got it, when they traded it to Carolina was probably considered the most anybody's ever gotten. And now you have a quarterback who everybody wants that I think the offer would be even higher. But also you want to drive up the market for Fields. You want to see if you can get a second round pick for Fields, even a first if you're really optimistic. Then you should be putting out there that maybe we like him. Maybe we like him more than you guys think we do.
Yeah, and I think, with the Justin thing, and really just with both quarterbacks in general, I think it has a lot to do with expectations. When we had a conversation, off air before we started about which way are they looking as far as pressure wise? Justin, if they run it back with Justin, there's going to be a ridiculous amount of pressure on him to actually make the leap that everybody wants to see from him. And at the same time with Caleb, is he going to reach the height, which I think is impossible for him to reach, especially in year one. We're throwing names like Patrick Mahomes out there. In your opinion, no matter who the quarterback is, what do you think the realistic expectations should be for the Bears next season?
Good. They should be good. You should have good expectations for the Bears. It's a really rare time for them, a good time. I think that a lot of people, myself included at times, kind of lose sight of that because you get so immersed in the decision of Fields or Williams that you forget that this is a good situation. If the Bears did nothing, basically, if they just basically ran it back, so you keep all the key pieces you have now, you have kind of a normal, expected, conventional draft and free agency, you would bet on that team. That team in Vegas would be a betting odds favorite to make the playoffs. Not to be amazing, but you would imagine that team would make the playoffs as a wild card. So that's your baseline. That's like if you do nothing. Now you can evaluate, and I think that this is something they needed to evaluate as far as head coach and coordinators too. Could we do better? Could we aim higher than even a 10-win season? Could we find upgrades at quarterback, upgrade at head coach, upgrade at offensive coordinator, things like that? So it's a really good time to be the Bears. And one reason why I would have pretty good expectations for them next year, even if they do draft a rookie quarterback, and it's tough for rookie quarterbacks. There are not a lot of guys that just show up like CJ Stroud and do what he did. But there are not a lot of rookie quarterbacks that get drafted that high that walk into a situation that's that good. And it's not a great situation. It's not like he's walking onto the Chiefs, but there's a lot there, even on offense, where you're very frustrated. There's more pieces there. There are so many more pieces there, Scott, for example, than what CJ Stroud walked into in Houston last year.
100%.
100%. Yeah, 100%. And going to that point, Jason, as somebody who's covered Justin Fields over, his last 3 years since he's been chosen by the Chicago Bears and, being able to speak with him, what do you say, or what are your thoughts on the unfair light that he's been casted over the last week and a half with the unfollowing of the NFL and the unfollowing of the Chicago Bears on social media?
It's what I think of him specifically is good for him, man, that he can handle that, because that's something I have respected about Justin Fields from day one. I think he was 22, and now when the Bears draft him, now he's 24, almost 25. That guy is such a grown up, and not all of us are at that level of adult at that age. He has got the unique temperament to deal with the craziness of the Chicago media and the national media. And I think one of you guys said, as I was waiting to come on, just how sick you are of the debate. it's a little early to be sick of that because there's a lot more to come. until they make a decision, you're going to have to sit through quite a lot more of it. And I'm going to be right in the middle of it, making a living off of it.
Make the money. Don't let the money make you.
I think it's okay. I think one of the reasons why it gets so crazy in Chicago, and I grew up there, so I understand. I get why it's like this. Is it's just been so bad for so long, and everybody is so desperate for it to finally be right. So Justin Fields lights up the Broncos and the Commanders, who are horrible teams, and everyone wants to, and I get it. I really get it. It's annoying, but I really understand it. Everyone wants to jump to franchise quarterback. We've got our guy for the next 20 years. This is our Aaron Rodgers, Patrick Mahomes, whoever. And then things kind of go bad. And then Tyson Bagent comes in and throws for like 160 yards. They beat the Raiders, and everyone's like, no. That's the guy. Now he's our guy. He's the guy. He's the quarterback of the future. And it's just so volatile because it's been like that for so long, man. It's so different than like Green Bay, where I was talking to someone up there. I had gone up there in January, like before they played the season finale there against Green Bay. And I was talking to somebody about Jordan Love, who, if you followed it, had a really bad first half of the season, other than when he played the Bears, of course.
Exactly.
He was pretty bad. And then by the end, Jordan Love was like right there neck and neck to lead the league in touchdown passes and won a playoff game and almost won a second playoff game. And I was asking someone before their final game of the regular season, how patient were the people in Green Bay with him? And he said pretty patient because they've seen it before. They have not had this desperation, this volatility that Bears fans have had, where every guy, you're just hoping it's the guy, and it's like whiplash, being in on the guy and then out on the guy. And then someone else, the backup quarterback plays, whether it's Tyson Bagent or Kyle Orton or whoever. Now, this is the guy. This is the guy. And in Green Bay, it hadn't been like that. So they had reason to be a little more patient because they hadn't been through all that like all of us in Chicago have been for the last 4 decades.
Before we go to your question, Dante, I just want to ask this: when you talk about patience is the number one thing with all these people who have these ungodly expectations for Caleb, which I don't feel like he can meet right off the back. What do you think the expectation is going to be next year? Like if he starts off a little slow, what do you think is it going to be like a? I know it's a dumbass question. As Bang said, there are such thing as dumb questions, but because I know the answer to this, what do you think the response is going to be like if he starts out slow? And then 4 or 5 weeks in, he's not looking as good as he's supposed to be looking. Do you think there's going to be some type of patience from Bears fans, or are they just going to jump on him right away?
That's going to be interesting. It's going to be an interesting test of Bears fans' patience. I mean, historically, there's not a lot of it. But I think it is a little bit of a different case. You know what will really make it a lot worse is if Justin Fields is playing well somewhere else, which is totally possible.
Exactly. Lighting it up
Totally
the first
possible.
month. First month, FedEx Air and rushing player of the week.
Right. I think Caleb Williams is a little different. I think there's going to be a little more runway for him. Not a lot, but a little more than some of the other years because, again, sorry, I lost track of this, but one of you guys was pointing out like the history of them with quarterbacks. The Bears haven't taken big swings like this very often. Yeah, there's always all this talk about that the Bears can't find a quarterback. Like they haven't really tried that hard. They haven't drafted a lot of. I don't have it in front of me, but they haven't drafted a lot of quarterbacks very high. If you go like before Mitch, I think it had been maybe McMahon was the last time they drafted a quarterback in the top 10.
In the top 10, yeah. In the top 10,
you have years where, you have years where it turned out they were wrong, but you have years where they're saying, okay, out of these quarterbacks, they're all pretty good. We think Trubisky is the best. That's the guy we're taking. You have last year teams looking at the quarterbacks and saying, well, they're all, the 4 of them. Was it 3 or 4? I think it was 4 of them if you count Will Levis at one point was in the mix. They're all kind of good. I guess Bryce Young is the best. It's not like that this year. This isn't like that. This is a guy where you're talking like this is the best quarterback prospect since we got to go back a couple drafts. We got to go back to like Trevor Lawrence as a prospect or Andrew Luck as a prospect for this.
Definitely.
Yeah, definitely. And like you said, you're down in Indy now, getting ready for the combine. A lot of talks gonna be going on. Last season, the Bears traded the number 1 pick around March 10th. Do you think there's a possibility we could see a Justin Fields trade develop this week, or is this something that's still brewing?
I think it's next week. Yeah, I think you're right on it. I think you're right around the right timeline because this is kind of like the winter meetings in baseball. This is a time where it just kind of ignites everything. It fast tracks everything. I would imagine, and I'm not like reporting this or something. I'm just saying logically, from what I know about the Bears, what I know about the situation they're in right now, what I know about how Ryan Poles operates, I would expect that Ryan Poles wants to leave Indianapolis at the end of this week with offers on the table for Justin Fields and offers on the table for the number 1 pick. But I expect them to keep the number 1 pick. Offers on the table for Justin Fields and then making a deal next week before free agency is done. That's good for the Bears. It's also good for the team trading for Justin Fields. There should be some urgency to have your quarterback situation figured out. But one of the ways why it would be important for the Bears is, let's say you're getting a 2nd-round pick for Justin Fields. That's pretty good. That's very valuable. That might inform what you do in free agency, because instead of sitting here saying, well, we need to go out and spend on this position, you could say, okay, now we have another big resource in the draft, a 2nd-round pick. So we can hold off on spending some of that money and we can draft, I don't know, an offensive tackle or a wide receiver or somebody in the 2nd round instead of going and spending on them.
All right. Well, just to give everybody some context, in the modern era, Jim McMahon is the highest drafted Chicago Bears pick. That was number 5. Outside of that, it was Jim Harbaugh pick 26. It was Cade McNown at number 12. We ain't got to talk about that. Rex Grossman at number 22.
We definitely got to talk about that.
And we ain't got to talk about that because Scott will get mad. And then we have Justin Fields at number 11. So the Bears have not been in a position outside of Mitchell Trubisky where they was drafted in the top 5 since Jim McMahon. And we see what that got us. But you're right. One of the things, Jason, that I've had, one of my gripes, because I definitely got many throughout this process, and I definitely understand it's going to be a long process, but people are talking about the Bears like they earned the number 1 pick. They're talking about the Bears like they are the Carolina Panthers, and they were, 3 or 2-14, 2-15, and that's how they got the number 1 pick. No, they traded, but they are a 7-10 team. And really a minute and a half from being 10-7 if you want to look at those games that they lost in the last minute. So with that and the amount of cap room that they will have, even if they were to trade Justin Fields and get a little bit more there, like, what do you think the Bears need to do from a free agency side once the new year league happens, to help them when it comes to the draft, settle on some of those picks that they need to make this team successful?
Well, free agency is tough. It's not like basketball or the other sports and baseball, and you know this, that's not usually where you win, is by winning in free agency. So, I mean, I think Ryan Poles looks at it that way too. I think Ryan Poles is looking for kind of the second tier of priorities. If I'm making my list of what I got to have if I'm running a team, it's quarterback number 1, pass rusher number 2, and then there's some positions after that all pertain to quarterback in some way or another. Left tackle to protect the quarterback, cornerback, it helps you, ruin other teams' quarterbacks. Wide receiver helps your quarterback, and then you kind of get more into that range of, interior offensive line and running backs and linebackers, things like that, safeties. I think that probably that second tier that I mentioned is where they'd be looking in free agency. They've made a lot of good moves. That's one of the reasons why they're in this good position. You're totally right. This is not your typical first pick in the draft roster. This is like a mediocre roster. Let's not overstate what it is. It's just mediocre. But usually you don't have a mediocre 500 level team, 500-ish team with these kind of resources, not just picking 1, but also picking 9. I don't know if I feel like people are forgetting they also have the number 9 pick, which is a really big deal for them.
Yeah.
But they're missing so many things. Like, they've made all these moves that they're really smart. Brian Poles has drafted so well. And I hated the Roquan Smith move at the time, but Tremaine Edmonds for a lot less money and getting a draft pick and like, all right, I concede you got that one right. Like that worked out. That worked out well for Baltimore too. They got the star of their defense, but I don't know that would have been. I don't know Roquan would have had the same effect here. I'm getting off topic. It's like if you're looking at your house and you do all these great things to your house, like you retile the bathroom or you put in a new sink here or you paint the walls here. You do all these nice little things. You put in new landscaping outside, but then you got like a giant hole in the middle of your floor, or you don't have electricity or something. Like you're missing the big thing. You're making all these little moves that aren't going to matter unless you get the big moves right, unless you get quarterback, pass rusher, and some things that are really closely tied to basically your quarterback thriving and you wrecking the other team's quarterback. It's like that's the biggest thing to me is they need to not only like Ryan Poles has so many things in front of him that he needs to nail right now. I don't know that free agency is necessarily in that category for me, but need to nail the number one pick, which is meaning in part you got to get your quarterback situation right. You got to nail that number 9 pick. When you're picking 9th in the draft, you're expecting to pick a guy that like you're going to hang his jersey in your stadium somewhere. And then you got to nail the Justin Fields trade. You got to get that right. You got to try to get whatever you can. And I think if he can get a second round pick for Justin Fields earlier in the second round, the better, obviously. But that's a pretty good success.
Yeah, definitely. Now we've talked about a lot of change, different things. This was a team that was, like I said, 7-10, a few minutes away from being 10-7, and they completely got rid of the entire offensive staff. But one person they kept was Coach Eberflus. What were your feelings about Flus, especially after once they did decide to keep him? We saw so many great coaching candidates become available.
Yeah. It wasn't crazy to keep him, but I didn't agree with it just on merit. I think that you should evaluate that position the same way you evaluate other positions and say, could we do better? And when you're sitting there saying, I don't know if anybody would disagree with this, when you're sitting there saying we have the 4th best coach in the division, that's a problem.
Right.
I think about like sometimes you can evaluate the value of what you have based on what the market tells you. So Justin Fields, for example, what will somebody trade you for Justin Fields? Probably not a 1st round pick, probably a 2nd round pick. What will somebody trade you for the Caleb Williams pick? Probably like 3 firsts or something like that. If you fire Matt Eberflus, is somebody else hiring him? I think the market's telling you no. I don't think he would have gotten a head coaching job if the Bears had fired him. I will say, like, I've been kind of against this idea from the beginning of hiring a defensive-minded coach because I would so much rather – so that's not necessarily fair to Matt Eberflus. That's like my preconceived notion of how you should do it that predates him getting hired. But I do think it's easier to replace the defensive coach, whoever's running your defense, than whoever's running your offense. And I think he showed that he was a really, really good defensive coordinator last year, but he has definitely not shown that he's a good head coach. He hasn't shown you that. And I say that objectively. I like him as a guy. Like, he's very good to deal with. I respect him as a person. I think he did an excellent job calling their defense last year. But, man, there's a lot of things on the other side of the ledger when you're talking about his track record as a head coach.
Well, when you're talking about coaches, you're talking about Flus. What do you feel about Shane Waldron? Shane Waldron last week, him and Eric Washington finally had their introductory press conference. It was a whole bunch of pleading the fifth, is what it sounded like to me. Really couldn't get anything. I know you were asking him. You was like you were trying to get him to say Justin Fields' name so bad, and he just was not going for. He just was not going to say it. What did you feel about from being there in person about? What kind of guy Shane Waldron is and, how he went about that press conference last week.
He was in a tough spot, to be fair. Hey, Shane, let's trot you out here to talk about a quarterback situation that we don't even want to talk about. Ryan Poles doesn't want to get out there and be answering questions from the media about this. So that was a tough spot, but that was such a kind of a pointless exercise, that whole press conference. It's like, let's interview Shane Waldron, who doesn't want to say anything at all. Doesn't even want to name one player on the team on the current roster that he likes. He can't even say like, oh, we got DJ Moore. I think he's really good. Like guys that are going to be here. DJ Moore's under big contract. Cole Kmet's under big contract. Darnell Wright, they just drafted. You can't even say that, like, oh, yeah, I really like a couple of these guys. Maybe he's worried about, we're going to pick apart who did he not say or something. So you've got this offensive coordinator trying to say nothing, and you've got the defensive coordinator that at this point, not sure exactly what he's going to do.
Exactly.
When the head coach is really hands-on with all of that. So I'm just that was a really empty 30 minutes the other day. And I don't blame those guys for it. Like, it's really not their fault. I don't know. I couldn't have sat here and told you like last year, oh, I'm really hoping they hire Shane Waldron. This guy, Shane Waldron on Seattle that you guys haven't heard of. He's going to be the answer. I don't have that kind of familiarity with his resume, but he has a couple of things that I do like, where he does have a good history in both overseeing a run-heavy and a pass-heavy offense. So there's some hope that he will have a better balance, a better way of merging those two things. And he also has experience as a play caller. And when you are an inexperienced play caller, one of the things that shows up, and I think this was one of the things we saw with Matt Nagy. There's some other issues with Matt Nagy, but I think this was one of them, is when you're an inexperienced play caller, you're not a good improviser. You can come up with a pretty good game plan, but then, like Mike Tyson said, everyone has a plan until they get punched in the mouth. Then what do we do? Like, what's the pivot? What are you coming up with as far as an adjustment? And Shane Waldron has experience as a play caller, and theoretically will have a little bit more of an answer for what to do in that scenario.
Go ahead, man.
So I had mentioned the whole record and where we at, and I know that people are going to have goals of playoffs no matter who's the quarterback at this point. Whether Justin comes back and we get a boatload of picks, or Caleb comes in, and maybe that is a unfair expectation for any rookie to come in. But how realistic do you feel it is with what can potentially happen this offseason with the Bears, that not only the playoffs, but possibly the North, with the way that the division is set up? Minnesota might go through a number of changes. The Bears did play very well against the Detroit Lions. And then, of course, you got those folks in Wisconsin. Like, what should be the expectation after free agency in this draft?
I gotta see who they get and what they do, but I think that the playoffs are the baseline. I think making the playoffs as a wild card is your minimum, because I think you could do that right now by just, like I said, a conventional draft and free agency. You should have adding some of that to what you already have, where you already have what I would imagine will be a top 10 defense next year. I would expect that to be a playoff team. That isn't good enough. I think like that is way too often celebrated in Chicago, where it's not in other places. I think the expectations need to be a lot higher. I think you need to be clearly, my standard for any team I cover in any sport is always, are you competing for a championship, or are you very clearly headed that way? And this season will inform a lot of that, as far as whether the Bears are really headed toward that. But a lot would have to go right for them to contend. A lot that, there are some things you could easily foresee happening for them to be a wild card team, for them to win the division, for example. There'd have to be some things that it would take a lot more faith to believe that, okay, either Justin or Caleb Williams is going to be a really good quarterback next year, and TBD rookie along with Montez Sweat is going to be one of the best pass rushes in the NFL, and they're going to find some wide receivers because they've got one right now.
Right. Yeah.
You would have to have a lot of faith that a lot of things are going to come through that you don't see right now for them to be a contender.
One last question for you, Jason, before we get you out of here. Tomorrow, Brian Poles expected to speak to media around 10:15 Eastern time. What are you expecting to hear from Brian Poles, if anything, about what's been reported, what's been going on, and what he plans to do this week at the Combine?
I think that he's got a goal of driving up the value of the assets that he has. So I think it's going to be that's going to steer the conversation much more so than what's really going on. I would love to hear him at least give us a little bit about what he thinks about Caleb Williams? I've heard that name come out of his mouth once or twice, but I want to hear, like, they've had plenty of time now to scout him. They've been scouting him for years, but they've had plenty of time to really dive into him seriously with knowing you have the pick to get him. I want to hear a little more than just, yeah, he's good, or yeah, we see a lot of potential, or, you know, he's going to keep it open like it is right now so he can keep taking offers for that number 1 pick and keep taking offers for Fields and try to drive the market up on both of those things. Like, there is only positive for the Bears in more people wanting that number 1 pick and more people wanting Justin Fields. So that's his big goal when he talks on Tuesday.
Definitely. I'm really looking forward to see that and just really like all the stuff that comes with Combine Week. Jason, are you going to Detroit, or are you going to be staying back in Hallis Hall?
I didn't hear what you said, man. Sorry.
Are you going to be at the draft in Detroit, or are you going to be at the draft in Detroit, or are you going to Hallis Hall?
No, I'm going to be at Hallis Hall for that this year.
Okay. So I got it'd be me and Joe be the only ones in Detroit. I know Adam John said
Finley will be there.
Finley will be there. Okay.
I think Finley will be there. I think Finley will be in Detroit. Yeah.
Yeah, I'm going there because I don't have to pay for a hotel. Shout out my auntie out there. But
okay, there you go. Yeah.
Jason,
but like that, you know, it's so hit and miss. It's so hit and miss because one of the reasons you would go to the draft, and Patrick will be there because we alternate some of this offseason stuff year to year, and I went last year. But you go. One of the reasons you go is a lot of the prospects are there, and so you get to talk to them the day before the draft. You have access to a lot of these guys the day before the draft on that Wednesday. And then when they get drafted, they're right there in person. But you and me and Deion Miller and Joe and I think maybe Caitlin Sharkey might have been down there too. Like we all went, and maybe someone from The Athletic, maybe Kevin or somebody. We all went down there. And then they drafted a guy that wasn't there, and we're on Zoom with him, just like everyone that was sitting at home. It was so
in that dining room. In that dining room.
Yeah. Yes. Dude, okay. So they put. I'm already not happy because I've traveled to Kansas City and now I'm on Zoom call with somebody. Like I could have done this from anywhere. And so I go and find this gigantic dining room, like where you'd have a banquet or something in this hotel, whatever hotel they were hosting this at in Kansas City, the Sheraton or something. And I go to the back corner of it, and there's no one near me. There's no one within 3 of these giant tables of me. I've got a good radius. Some guy comes in and sits at the table right next to me while I'm on the Zoom call.
I hate that. So much.
It's like if you got a row of like 10 urinals and the guy comes and stands right next to me. Come on, there's space.
He's violating all the space there. And they had us like super bunched up last year. Like I feel like Vegas did it right. Vegas had more space. It was more, easier to go when the players got drafted. They would say on the intercom, so-and-so is going to be in this room. Like we ain't getting none of that last year in Kansas City. So I'm interested to see how it's going to be this year.
So hold on. You're saying, let me jot this down in my notes. You're saying Las Vegas is a better place for the draft than Kansas City, Missouri.
Everything is better than Kansas City,
Got it.
Missouri. And it should just be there permanently.
All right.
That's where it should be. Detroit is better than Kansas City, which is not saying a lot, but Detroit is damn near like Vegas compared to Kansas City. Like that's how boring Kansas City is. But with Jason, man, definitely always good to speak to you, man. Let them know if you got any special articles you're working on this week, like what you got dropping this week for people to check out.
I appreciate that, but there's stuff every day, man. Every day in the Chicago Sun-Times or ChicagoSunTimes.com, you'll find stuff. SunTimes.com.
Definitely SunTimes.com. Follow him at Jason Leiser. That's Lieser on Twitter. Get in tune with that, man. Definitely looking forward to talk to you again, man.
Great. I really appreciated you guys inviting me. It was fun.
Definitely got to have you on again, bro. Appreciate it.
Will do.
So we're going to get into our next segment. We're going to wait for the homie Pavy to join in a minute. We're going to talk about some NBA basketball. And also we're going to get his Pavy right here. Pavito, what's going on, brother?
What's up, guys? How you feeling?
How you feeling now? We waited for you to come in. I wanted to talk about this one thing before we actually get on the NBA. I want to talk about Cam Newton, him and niggas up. Cam Newton, him and niggas up yesterday. he took out like first of all, who the fuck is it? What was the name of that clique or whatever they're called?
No,
FTP.
yeah,
TSP.
TSP. So this what it is. As you know, 7-on-7 football is extremely popular now in America, and Cam has these camps out here. But 7-on-7 football and just youth football in general is real big in Georgia. So the teams go at it. And so, I'm not gonna say who them other dudes are and what they do, but you know how youth sports goes in our community. So naturally, it's competitive. They talking crazy, and so one thing about Cam, and we always say we want athletes like this. If you start talking shit to Cam, he's gonna talk shit back to you. He's not one of those turn the other cheek type of dudes. So they were exchanging words, and like I said, things just went left. But I'm glad he did that because once again, you saw if these dudes really wanted to, they could hurt a lot of people. Like
That's
he
a
had
big
3 grown
motherfucker, man.
men tossing them like children. Like let this be the lesson. And then the fourth dude who came up and tried to swing at him, Cam's so damn tall, he hit him in the shoulder, and Cam just started laughing. So like the situations like this is just further proof, bro. Like y'all gotta relax. The disrespect is just it's going too far. Like it's really going too far.
Like,
These
he's
grown
not a
ass men
small
acting like this.
quarterback. Like he's not a small quarterback. Like motherfucker is big. It's not like you run up on Bryce Young. You know what I'm saying? Like to me, what I looked at it from that was dog. Like first of all, these people out here, like if you're gonna provoke people, everybody's not just gonna be the regular. I'm just gonna let it slide, niggas. Like and them motherfuckers learned 100%. Well, what happened with that yesterday, man?
Oh, Damian funny as hell.
Yeah, I did. I was not gonna put. Yeah, I wasn't gonna put that in the chat while you was on there. Damian funny than a motherfucker. Definitely. But let's get into it, man. Let's talk some NBA basketball, man. As Pavy joins us each and every week here for Weekend in the Association. We break down each and everything going on in the NBA this past weekend. Very interesting weekend. I think it was yesterday. It was a lot of good games on. I feel like you're starting to see the intensity pick up a little bit. And I was like, yesterday I was watching, like, yeah, from here on out, I'm not watching the NBA until after All-Star break. Like that's probably gonna be the thing that I do going forward because that was more intensity I've seen all season from teams. And the standings keep changing. As I'm looking at from right now, you had the Sacramento Kings. They went from like the 7th seed to the 5th seed. Phoenix went from 8th to 6th. The Lakers and the Warriors, I think, gonna be flip-flopping for the rest of the season. The Clippers dropped another dud, dropped to 4, and then in the Eastern Conference, the Sixers lose again, and the Pacers are a half game behind them. They can really, make a jump there, and the Bucks playing some good basketball. So let's start off first. What happened in I think like the nightcap, not even the nightcap, the second to last game last night between the the Denver Nuggets and the Golden State Warriors. Clay had a good game off the bench, but Nikola Jokic, yet another triple-double. These guys are really getting to it. They're only a game out of first place. Pav, do you think that, we keep talking about MVPs with Shea and, all these other guys? Is this the MVP there for the taking for Jokic, in your opinion?
I think it'll be hard just based off just because the MVP one is a stats award as well, and I also think voter fatigue is kind of a real thing. And I don't think Jokic is doing anything this season that he hasn't done in other years. So I think it'll be kind of hard for them to give the award to Jokic. I mean, again, he's playing incredible, obviously, but he always plays incredible. He always gets you like 25, 10, and basically 10 for the most part. So I just think it'll be kind of hard for him to win MVP. But again, the Nuggets, they're playing good basketball. They're rounded into form. I think earlier in the season, Jamal Murray obviously had his injury concerns. But everybody's back now. Everybody's healthy. They see the end of the line. I think if you have one question mark about the Nuggets, I guess you could say their bench. They don't get many bench points. Last year they had Bruce Brown off the bench. This year they don't. But we'll see if guys like Christian Braun, Peyton Watson, Reggie Jackson, those guys can continue to step up. But to answer your question, I just think it'll be hard to give Jokic that award. One, because of voter fatigue, and two, stats-wise, I don't think he's doing anything vastly different than what he did in other seasons.
Mikey, man, you're a gambling brother, so you've been paying attention a lot to what Mr. Joker's been doing. What's your opinion on, just I feel like he and the Nuggets are starting to close the gap a little bit. Do you think, he has a chance to come in and sneak this MVP?
Yeah, I mean, we talked about it a couple weeks, and he was still the leading favorite. It was like at a minus like 145, so it was close between him, SGA, Luka. Giannis has actually jumped into that top 5 now. But I just double checked it this morning, and that's now moved to minus 255. So the odds are starting to slowly favor that Luka or that Jokic is on his way for his second MVP and what 3 seasons now. So I think if he continues to have performances like he did yesterday, I think he will definitely lock that down. Pavy, I was going to ask you. So if you think the stats aren't there and you think the fatigue, the voter fatigue is there, who are you going towards? Are you going more towards a SGA?
I'm going more towards SGA.
Okay.
Granted, it may be a little bit premature. Like, I usually know with MVP, usually you gotta like be in a race, lose, and then win. But if the Thunder can finish the season as a top 2 team, when you look at what he's playing with, granted, it's not saying he doesn't have good players around him. Obviously, Chet's probably gonna finish second in rookie of the year. He has a case for the all defensive team. You have Jalen Williams. So you have guys, but obviously if nobody expected the Thunder to win 50 games and be the
Right.
second seed. Like, so to me, I would go Shea, but I do understand that, usually sometimes you got to lose first to win next. So, but me, I would go Shea if they can continue to finish top 3, top 2 in the West.
Yeah, I mean, and I agree with you because I had put $75 on SGA to win MVP back in week 1, and that'll pay like close to like 1,300. So I took it back when he was nowhere near doing what he's doing now. So I thought him and Luca were worth some money going forward. But I mean, America loves Jokic for the most part. He just goes out there, hoop. You see everybody eating up the sound clip yesterday when they asked him what his teammates got him for his birthday, and he's like, nothing, terrible teammates. People like that, so they seem to gravitate towards him. So it's going to be worth monitoring towards. I think as we get towards the middle of March, it'll be pretty much locked in, and you got to follow the money. Vegas doesn't put those they're not putting up buildings and keeping the lights on. Oftentimes by hanging a low number on Jokic. So if he keeps going where he's at, he might be minus 500 in a couple of weeks, and that's all she wrote.
And he just had his 40th. Shea just had his 40th 30-point game this weekend or some shit like that. Like, I think this is my thing. I think Shea is the leader right now, and it should. But if Denver comes in, they steal that number 1 seed, which is highly possible. They only a game behind, and I feel like they're doing what champions do, and that is, we played on cruise control the first 50-something games. Now we finna show y'all, what time it is. If he keeps playing the way he's playing, they get the number 1 seed. I mean, all love to Shea, but I feel like you might have to give it to Joker. And I get it, there is voter fatigue. He would be on MVP number 3 if he won that. But that's where I would put it right there. Bang and Dante, y'all got any what's y'all taking, what y'all be seeing from Joker in this MVP race? We'll go to Dante first.
I mean, I love what I see from Joker every time, but I think right now you got to give it to Shea. You got to give it to Shea, even unless they can. I don't know how many games they have left and how far they are. I didn't take a glance before we started, but unless you can catch them in the standings or make it a competitive race, I really don't see how you take the MVP away from Shea with the low expect. Like, don't get me wrong. We knew OKC was going to be an entertaining team. We knew they were going to be a nice young team, but nobody expected them to be the 1 seed and, maintain this throughout the season the way that they have. So, I mean, Joker's doing some amazing things, but he's an amazing player, and we already know that. He's an MVP caliber guy, multiple-time winner. But I think this season, with everything that he's accomplished so far, if it continues on for the rest of the year, you got to give it to Shea.
Bang, go ahead.
I agree because of voter fatigue. Like, nobody is going to want to continue to vote for this man who is probably the MVP and Joker. But you also have a chance to elevate a new young talent in SGA. So I think that the league and the voters have a good opportunity to do similar to what they did with Derrick Rose. Like, Derrick Rose at the beginning of the year was like, why I can't be MVP? And he ended up winning MVP. And he was looked at as like one of the future pieces in the NBA. Won't go no farther because it hurt our feelings. But I think it's a similar situation here, how you can put somebody else in that spot who's also deserving, especially if they have a number 1 or number 2 seed.
This one isn't on the rundown, but since we're talking awards, I feel like I have to bring it up. Yo, this nigga Victor Wembanyama, dog. Like, This motherfucker is must see TV. What y'all about to say?
Yeah.
4 words, must see TV. That's exactly what Wimby is, man. It's like the highlights I saw yesterday. This is the point where, like, when I watch highlights in the night, I'm not watching Spurs highlights. I'm watching just Wimby's highlights. I don't want to know about the bum niggas he playing with. You know what I'm saying? And
that team is better than what you think it is.
Yeah,
they
it's
won
some
11
pieces on that
games.
team. No, I say this: once them niggas stop playing like they hate that man, they're gonna be a really good team.
They playing them like
there's some
year one
talent. It's
LeBron.
talent on that team, G, but it's
Once
talent
they
on
get
that
out-
team.
It's talent on that team.
They need to get a fucking point guard. They got to end the Scohan fucking experiment and get an actual point guard for Wemby. And I think they will. I think their offseason is going to be the one to watch because, you know, he's exactly what everybody said he would. And to Pavy's point early in the season, that motherfucker damn near could be defensive player of the year, you know, in year
I was
one.
about to ask
You
that.
know,
Yeah.
like he's
Ain't no
he
damn man.
really is.
Who would be the defensive player of the year?
It's Rudy.
You know,
Rudy's
Rudy.
gonna
Okay,
win it, but Rudy
will win it.
is gonna win it. But
Rudy's gonna win it,
obviously,
yeah.
what Wemby is doing defensively, offensively, I think for me the best
Pat,
thing about
before you go,
Wemby.
can I just name this stat
Go ahead.
real quick? Wemby has 74 blocks since January 1st. The Miami Heat have 64 blocks as a team since January 1st. That just shows that, granted, this nigga is like 8 feet tall, but still, that just kind of shows you just how of a defensive force he is. He's still a year away.
So is Bo Bolt.
The reason why I said that is because while in the paint, Rudy is a great defensive player. But that man can go out on the wing. Like, Wemby goes out on the wing and is still like he's not getting worked over. And tall dudes like that normally get crossed over, feet hit the legs, and then they fall on the ground. Like, he's effective, and not just because of his size. He really has the footwork and the motion to really guard anywhere on the court. So when I look at defensive player of the year, I'm also looking at that, not just, you know, Rudy being in the paint and being able to do what he does.
Yes, but they're not.
But
gonna
I
be
ain't mad at it.
Team who won
But I ain't mad at this
15
point. I
wins.
ain't mad at it.
Like the team has won 15 games. They're not going to give the award to somebody whose team has won 15 games. I do think he should be on the all defensive team, though, obviously, which is what I said before the year. I said that there's no reason he shouldn't make first team all defense first year. But I think the best thing, well, one of the all defensive teams in his first year. But I think the best thing about Wemby to me is he competes. Like, he competes.
Yeah.
If you go at him, he will go back at you. So to me, that's the best thing. It's like he seems like he really just cares. Like, he says the right thing. Like, even when they said, "Oh, you did the 27-10, 5-5," nobody, he was like, "Yeah, but we lost." So to me, I think the good thing about him is that he gives a fuck. They're gonna get a high draft pick this year because, again, same with what Dante said. They have talent, bro. Keldon Johnson can play. Devin Vassell can play. Trey Jones can play. Zach Collins. They have pieces. They are just in year 2 of doing generational tanking. They're doing generational tanking going to San Antonio to get what they need. But yeah, Wemby's been incredible. He's great to watch. I know like the face of the league conversation has been a thing, but I think Wemby is one of those true guys who has a chance to carry the league forward as long as he stays healthy for the next 10, 15 years.
Speaking of face the league, a guy who should be face the league, but we had this argument last week. Not argument. It was a spirited debate with me, Bang, and Mike. When we were talking about, Giannis doesn't give a fuck about being face the league, but Giannis and the Milwaukee Bucks, it's been not a good. I'll put it like this: it's been a difficult season for them, as far as how people expect them to play. One thing that happened when the Damian Lillard trade instantly happened. As soon as it happened, Pav, you and Damian, y'all instantly was like, "Yo, this is not going to be a good defensive team," and they were not good at all. With Adrian Griffin there, I feel like they've gotten a little better since Doc Rivers been there. They're 5-5 in the last 10, which is not good, but they won the last 2. Had a big weekend this past weekend. Nice win over the number 1 seed Minnesota Timberwolves on Friday, a game that A-Rod was looking real. I know Black Poppy. I don't know what was going on there. A-Rod, as he said he fell asleep while tanning. He was looking real semi-socialist over there, but big win over there. And then they took care of business yesterday against a severely undermanned Philadelphia 76ers team, who I believe is going to be in the play-in because who knows when Embiid is coming back. Pav, what did you see from the Bucks this week? And is there anything that might make you think they're trying to turn this around a little bit?
I mean, for all the talk about the Bucks, they're still 37-21. Like, it's not like
Yeah.
they're a bad team. It's just that when you bring Damian Lillard in, you expect a 60-win season. It doesn't like they're gonna get a 60-win season. Obviously, it was gonna take some time. I think that's one thing that we all did underestimate. The fact that it's going to take some time. Even with Dame, like Dame hasn't had to consider somebody else on the court since what, 2016.
Yeah.
That was the last time that he played with LaMarcus was 2016. And also LaMarcus isn't a ball dominant. Like LaMarcus isn't bringing the
I was
ball up
saying
court
no
like
love for
Giannis.
CJ McCollum and then Western Conference Final appearance in 2019.
But Dame don't have to pass the ball to CJ. Dame can realistically
That's
shoot
true.
that bitch every time he want to playing with CJ. Giannis, you're gonna have to be off ball. You're gonna have to get a ball up. So it was gonna take some time. Also, like whatever's going on in his actual life, I'm sure that seeps in somewhere and he may not be feeling the best all the time, and then going to Milwaukee. So it was gonna take some time. And then you bring in Doc, who again, that was also going to take some time. Doc has a different voice than Adrian Griffin. He expects different things. But you bring in a guy like Pat Bev. I hopefully Pat Bev can help like the chemistry in the locker room. Like, I know I even saw on his pod, he said that him and Dame actually talked and they like chopped it up and they're like good now. I know they had some static before, but they chopped it up. They went to dinner and they're good now. So yeah, I mean, I do think a little bit with the Bucks is we kind of like overreact because we act like they're a bad team. And it's like, bro, with all the drama surrounding them, they're still the third best. They have the third best record in the East and have potential to be the 2 seed.
Yeah, they're game behind the Cavs right now.
Yeah, like it's not like they're 6th or 7th. So I think we're kind of like overstating. I think again, take some time. They're rounding into form. They still have Giannis. You still have Dame. Middleton has also been hurt. I think he's been out for the past like 5 games since that Suns game when he sprained his ankle. So again, like I think we're overreacting a little bit.
Mikey, what's your take on the Bucks right now?
I think this is going to be the time that they try to take off. You also have to remember, yeah, they were 3-7 going into the All-Star break with Doc, but how many of those games did Dame miss? So that's to Pavy's point. That's more time off the court. For Dame, not learning, not building reps, not gaining that rapport with Giannis, his running mate on the floor. So I think the Bucks are going to go ahead and make a run still defensively. They have issues, and I don't believe they'll be solved this year until, the offseason when they can go ahead and add pieces and go ahead and really reconfigure, that roster to fit in with the likes of Giannis and Dame. But yeah, I'm watching them for sure in the East, and similar to what you were saying about the Sixers, I think they're going to be falling down into the play-in. So I think there's a clear-cut opportunity for the Bucks to make a run, and it just be, them and Boston at the top of the East.
Dante, from what you've seen of Milwaukee, like basically from how they played this weekend, which I felt like was pretty good, especially the Minnesota game. And really, even with the Sixers game, you would think like coming at a team that's been as inconsistent as them, they would drop the ball against, the Sixers in the early game. And this team ain't really got nobody. What did you see from this weekend? Do you think there's anything that you saw that might think, okay, they'll be all right, and I think they still got a chance to, at least get to the East Conference Finals, have a shot at the finals?
No, I mean, I'm not gonna lie. A lot of times these days, you can't take too much from regular season basketball because at the end of the day, the intensity changes and the strategy changes when I gotta play the same team 7 times. So, like for me in this team and the way they don't defend, and that's one of the biggest issues that we knew it was gonna be from jump. It's still hard for me to say that they could definitely get in here and definitively say they can get in here and make a run. Obviously, they got the talent. When you got 2 of the top 10 players in the league, you can make shit shake, but it's all about how they decide to do things in the playoffs, bro. So right now, things are starting to get serious. We're gonna finally see a little more intensity from all of the teams. So I like what I saw this weekend, but as far as telling me anything is about what they're gonna do going forward, no. But I do agree with Pavy where we overreact too much. Like I say this all the time to Scott, but like the way we cover the NFL, people try to do that with every sport, and you can't do that with 82 games. You can do that with 16 games. But when it's 82 games, bro, you gotta have context for this shit. You can't be, every team is not gonna be the Bulls, the Warriors winning 65, 70 games. That's just not reality.
Bang, what you think about the Bucks?
I want to say they're one of those teams that will turn it on when the playoffs comes, but how much turning on they need to do. Like this team is still in striking distance of Boston. They will be a top 3 seed. Boston sometimes wet the bed in the playoffs just as well as the Bucks do. So I'm not overthinking it when it comes to the Milwaukee Bucks and where they at right now, considering that they fired their coach, they brung in Doc Rivers. Of course, before that, they traded Drew for Dame and all of that stuff, so they got to get acclimated with that. You know, we'll see when the playoffs start how everything could go, but I'm not too overly worried about anything. Just let me hit these fan duels. That's all I need. Like, just let me hit these fan duels, Jack.
I mean, I look at it like this, man. I have not. I feel like if you look at the rest of the NBA, rest of the East Conference, I know everybody love the Knicks. What Knicks fans do, I
Yeah.
still think in the playoffs, man, it come down to superstars, bro, and that's why I feel like we still gonna be on the collision course for Boston and Milwaukee. No matter how inconsistent or bad the Bucks have played, if there's anything, I feel like their defense has been more impressive the last couple of games, and Boston, them niggas are trick off kings too. Like you just said, man, them niggas had no business losing the last 2 series they lost. So I feel like you put them in that position. Giannis has an NBA championship. Doc Rivers, as much shit as we give him, and rightfully so, he has an NBA championship. He's a good coach.
He's a good coach.
He's a good coach. But the problem is when you compare that nigga like Greg Popovich and like Eric Spoelstra and niggas like that, then let's relax. He's a good coach. And I don't think his fault was the reason they lost last year. His fault was Embiid and Harden, especially Embiid. Embiid got over murder last spring.
He was on the court too.
Yeah, he was on the court too. And so I feel like against Boston, they're still going to have a shot. And it would not shock me whatsoever because I still got to see Jason Tatum do it for them to make it to the NBA Finals. But
I do want to say this about the Bucks real quick, though. They got a 2-year window. They got this team 2-year window. And if they don't win this year and if they don't win, I mean, Dame about 33. Some of the times with Dame, I don't know if it's guards when they hit the 38, I don't know how long he gonna be up here. It's gonna start going down here pretty soon. And then if you just look at the rest of the roster, it's kind of old. Like Brook Lopez is old. Bobby P isn't young. Giannis ain't even young no more. Giannis like 30 years old now. So like this team about a 2-year window, and it could be trouble in Milwaukee.
Now I agree with that.
In about 8 minutes, we're gonna have our next segment. Gonna debut our new next segment with the homie and comedian Larry Legend. Gonna have our first culture segment of the week on here in about 8 minutes. Check that out. And of course, in the local hour, we're gonna be breaking down everything we talked about in the Jason Leiser interview about what's been going on at the combine, and then we're gonna talk a little bit of Cubs baseball, what it's gonna look like with Cody Bellinger in the fold, right back with the Cubs, and then also who has the worst future between the two Reinsdorf-owned franchises? Is it the Bulls or is the White Sox? They both in hell, but which one is the hot at? We're going to talk about that in the Patreon exclusive local hour. But two more things and weekend in association before we move on. Let's talk about the Dallas Mavericks, man. Luka Doncic, Kyrie Irving, Jason Kidd, the coach they just signed. They just traded for PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford. They are 33-24, even though they lost last night, blowout fashion to the Indiana Pacers. They are 7-3 in their last 10, and they are in the 8th seed, but they are only half a game out of the fucking 5 seed. Pav, what have you been thinking about what you've been seeing with the Mavericks? Do you think that there's a chance for them to make some type of run here?
I mean, number one, if you got to guard, whatever team plays them has to guard Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving for 7 games. Like, that's a lot. And then now you finally give them actual bigs. Like you have Lively, you have Gafford, you have PJ Washington. So you finally now have an actual big man rotation, which was something that Dallas was missing for the past, I don't even know how many years. I don't even think Luka damn they ever really for real had like a center outside of his rookie year when he had DeAndre Jordan, I think, but he's never really had like centers. So now you finally have that. And Kyrie's actually playing basketball, which is one thing about Kyrie. Like he's actually on the court, and when he's on the court, you can't name 5 to 10 guards better than Kyrie Irving when he's actually on the court playing basketball and healthy. So I mean, this team is going to be a lot to deal with. And again, like, can you imagine if Minnesota more so I think Minnesota might be more well equipped to deal with it. But can you imagine if you like the Thunder? and you done worked hard all year.
Yeah,
You done won
we
50
ain't
games.
got to talk about them young niggas. If I'm the Clippers, I don't want to see these niggas.
You going to see work hard. That's why I'm saying the Western Conference this year, you work hard all year, win 50 games, and your reward in the first round might be you have to guard Luka Doncic and Kyrie Irving for 7 games. So yes, I do think the Mavericks, like they're putting it together. Luka and Kyrie are finally getting on-court playing time. And if not this year, I think this is the team that next year, if they can keep this nucleus, now, like I said, now you finally have a big man rotation. If you can keep this nucleus, this is something that, going forward can be very, very troubling for the Western Conference.
This team, my sleeper, man. This is my sleeper, the Dallas Mavericks. I like, Luka's my favorite. Once Steph retires, I'm Luka's my number one favorite player. I'm a big Luka fan. And Kyrie on the court, I'm gonna emphasize, on the court is probably one of the most entertaining players, not just in this league, like right now, but of all time. Like the dude is like, he's like a polished street ball damn near when you watch Kyrie play basketball. He's been really good. And I think the additions of PJ Washington and Daniel Gafford, which is funny, we always got these Bulls role players who go on other teams, be really, really good role players, but I'm not going to get in that again. They have an actual well-rounded team this time. And I think they got a shot here, man. The entire Western Conference, to me, is a toss-up. I mean, if you put a gun in my head right now, I'll probably still pick Denver to come out again. But nobody in, at least in my opinion, the top, really in the top 10, I would be shocked to, advance to these next rounds. I wouldn't be shocked if Dallas actually makes it to a Western Conference final. Mikey, what have you seen from the Mavericks that you like?
I think we're seeing everything that we would hope we would be seeing when they went ahead and they acquired Kyrie Irving. Last year it was just a little too late. It didn't work out. They didn't mesh well. There were some injuries there. So, to Pavy's point, this is a team that you're starting to see what they can be, in adding a Daniel Gafford and adding a PJ Washington. I mean, the other day, Daniel Gafford was giving them so much fucking energy. I mean, rebounds, easy buckets. He had the crowd going crazy. He came in and instantly made an impact, and it makes life easier for Luka. We already know Luka likes to play at his pace, and it's very hard to stop him. But when he gets comfortable and he has, a full complement of players, it's gonna be hell for somebody in the playoffs. So I really like this team. I think maybe eventually, next year, add another shooter, and they got a shot. So for this year, I'm riding with them. And I really would like to see Luka kind of sneak in and get some MVP love, man. And I'm not just talking like top 3. I would like to see Luka get his first MVP.
The NBA would love to see Luka get his first MVP too. They're waiting for that nigga to crack the top 4. Go ahead, Pat.
Can I say one thing? Also with Luka, he's actually at least trying to be some level of effective defensively.
Yeah, defensively, yep.
He's averaging 1.5 steals this year. Again, I'm somebody like I don't think when you are a great offensive player, you don't need to be a lockdown defender, but you have to be some level of a plus. Play the fucking passing lanes, do something. So Luka, at least he's in better shape, and he's at least trying to do something defensively. He's not just out there being like a turnstile, which I think is huge, and also sends a message to the rest of the guys. If this guy gonna go out there and give me 35, 8, and 8, and still try defensively, if I'm averaging 10, I gotta strap up. So yeah, just want to say that.
Final topic, and we're gonna close this edition of Weekend in Association. Pav, you wanted to talk about the Pelicans. What's your take on the Pelicans? I will say this: big of a Zion fan as I am, that is not a aesthetically pleasing team to watch play basketball.
They probably have to make a decision at some point between Zion and Ingram because I think they have kind of like 2 different basketball teams on the court at the same time. But I really want to talk about the Pelicans because I want to give Zion some love. Like the way that they've been using Zion recently, they've kind of been putting him as like a point guard, which they probably kind of should have done that anyway. I mean, like I think his superpower is going downhill, and his improvements as a passer. I think he just had 10 assists last night. He's had his first 2 10. He's had his first 10 assist games a couple times recently, which I think is a huge improvement for him, and just for all like the flack Zion gets for not being in shape, which I think yes. But at the same time, he's just a big guy. Like the man was 250 when he was in high school. I don't think he can realistically drop down to like 280. He's just a big guy. But the way that they've been using him offensively, and again, that's like another team. Granted, I don't know what they would do in the playoffs, but I don't want to have to guard Zion 7 times in 2 weeks. Like, I don't want to do that if I'm a team in the first round, and we have CJ, and we have Jonas, and we have BI, and we have Herb Jones, Trey Murphy, like those guys can all play. And I just want to give Zion some love and for the way that they've been using him and the way that he's been performing lately.
What do you think about the actual team? And what do you think they can do this year? Because them niggas also Bulls last night. Let Io go crazy on their ass. What do you think about it? Like, they're starting at the 5 seed right now. Like, I don't think anybody's talking about them. Like, I've watched a couple games, but it's just like it's I don't know if it's their court. It might be their court. It's just not fun to watch. What do you think they can do, if anything, come playoff time?
I mean, I think they could win a series depending on who they're playing. I mean, if I look at one, you have to look at who the best player is. I would say is Zion Williams, and then you look at everybody else. Bi, I think Zion and Bi can outplay some other team's top guy depending on who that guy is, and also depending on what your lineup is. And I think this team is rounded in the form. They're 7-3 in their last 10 games. So I think that depending upon matchup, that's the thing about the West. Depending upon matchup, I don't know what could happen depending on who plays who. But I think if they get in, if they keep playing how they've been playing, granted, we haven't seen Zion in the playoffs yet, because the last time that they played against who was it? The Suns, when they were the 8th seed, Zion was actually hurt. But if you remember, that series went 6. And that was a series that, realistically the Pelicans could have won. So I think if they get there, they can make life very hard for somebody and possibly even win a series if all things go correct.
Definitely, man. That is this week's edition of Weekend in the Association, man. Y'all can follow Pav, man, at Pavy World on Twitter and Instagram. I know me and Dante keep pressing the button at the same time. Go to pavverbs.com right now. Visit. Just let me do it. I got it. There we go. There we go. Visit Pavy at Pavy World on Twitter and Instagram. Visit pavverbs.com. Stream FaceTime is dangerous. Pav, man, good to holler at you next Monday.
My man, appreciate y'all.
Yes, sir. This always funny when me and Dante be trying to do the same thing at the same time. That's my fault. I'll be doing too much. I'm gonna let you produce, big dog. We gonna start our next segment, man. A new segment we've got here on I'm Not Gonna Hold You with the homie and comedian Larry Legend. Laro, what is going on, bro? You got you. Let me take you off me. There we go.
You hear me now?
Yes, sir. What's going on, brother?
I'm good. My guys, man. I'm just here, man. Just trying to rock out with y'all, trying to give y'all a little something that's been on my mind, things that's been on my mind, you know what I mean? You want me to just kick this off because it's been on my mind all day?
Yeah, go ahead. Tell me exactly, what's on your mind, brother.
Okay, so this is just the first thing I want to talk about, and I just want to ask y'all opinion on this as well. Is it time for a change in the language of the culture? Okay. What I mean by this is, Sir, the singer, y'all saw the tweet. He tweeted.
No, I heard about it, but I didn't see the shit.
So I don't have the tweet pulled up, but he tweeted something about whatever what's his name, Kai sent. I don't know.
Yeah, I know which one it is.
Yeah, so he tweeted about that, and he used the word bitch. He used the B word. I don't want to keep saying that word over and over because I don't want to get attacked. I got attacked over sleep. Where I was asleep, I woke up and I was attacked. You know what I'm saying? So people said that I was defending that because I was just like understanding of why he even said that word. And it was like, is it a barrier between us? Like, I live in the real world, okay? I don't live on the internet. I live where when I'm outside with real live Chicago women. Some of you guys know what I'm talking about. So, you
say bitch all the time.
They still listen to people who in jail. You know what I mean? I'm not gonna say names, but dot number. And
they step.
So this is the world I live in. So words like the B word and nigga is just man and woman to them. It's what's up, my nigga? What's up, my bitch? And we don't say that, but you know what I'm saying? It's like it's normalized here. It's not misogynistic as they saying on the internet. So I'm just like, I understood because this guy is from Inglewood. His name is Inglewood Sir. So I'm like, is it time to stop saying that word publicly like that? Like, is it time to stop it? Because I'm looking at it from perspective of that's the people who kind of like Twitter people are. It's not a group. It's not a lot of people who do Twitter. I actually got a numbers of this. It's 28% of Black people who use Twitter, the internet, use Twitter.
Only 28%.
28%, and 39% of that 28% of Twitter users in general. 39% of Twitter users in general are women. Now, I don't know the others because they don't, it's a lot of others. So, because they said it was 1% men. Maybe it was 39% Black women, but I didn't write that part in. But the point I'm making is it's a small percentage on the internet. But that small percentage on Twitter kind of runs the fucking social world in a way.
Yeah, so, and it's like to a point now, not to cut you off, where it's like you can't say, and I don't even know where it started from him. I just know he tweeted.
No, it started from.
Go ahead.
Yeah, it was a concert where this dude called Shorty on stage, and like they was dancing and feeling on each other, and her dude was front row.
Shit. Yeah.
And so Casanan, he's a streamer, right? He pretty much had auditions and got bro a new girl, and so that's why Sir commented on it and used bitch when he was talking about it.
And he was saying it, and I feel like he was saying it in the context of talking to somebody who he knew, like in the hood, like he's from Inglewood.
Yeah, and that's 100% what it is, G. I think with a lot of these conversations, context is removed, and people like to play games like they don't understand that in no way did you mean that to demean or be mean to somebody at all, bro. That's just how we talk. And so, like, when you get the internet involved, and we've talked about for years before Twitter blew up, how the gatekeepers were going away. Now it ain't no gatekeepers, G. Mm-hmm. So like you could say something that, prime example, all five of us, we could say something that everybody in this chat know what we talking about, but it'd be one person from bumfuck Iowa who'll be like, "What the fuck you mean? Like, how can you say that?" Mm-hmm. But
you mean like that one tweet I saw yesterday where this lady went to DC and she didn't know DC was black as hell. DC, which is called Chocolate City, she didn't know it was black as hell.
I'm like, yo, you never even. They had a crackhead as a mayor. Like, you don't. I mean, history class isn't everybody's thing, but I was looking at that. So this just was a topic that I had wanted to bring upon y'all because I'm just like, they on my ass.
And I'm man, like, this is why I don't go on Twitter. Like, literally, the only time I go on Twitter is when Scott asks us to retweet something. So I'll sit on there for a little bit. I'll see something from you. I'll laugh. I'll see some shit that Mikey then said for us to look at. I'll laugh, and then I'm out because there is no context. Like, it's funny, and these people don't know you either. Like, it's funny. That's why I will use. I use social media as a experiment anyway of my content. Like, even before I did the Some Dude podcast for a year, I was putting Some Dude does this or that just to see how people react, and then a year later I come out with the Some Dude podcast. With that being said, that's why I know my context is at. If you know me, you know what's up. If somebody try to jump in, they'd be like, yo, this is what it is over there. You either leave us out. All right, cool. I think we deal with a lot of people that's like 200 followers or less Twitter, that's why I be telling Scott ass, don't be arguing with them folks that got 200 Twitter or less.
Bro.
Like Scott, Sean Davis, Brian Crawford, these niggas is like the 3-man tag team champions of fighting niggas that only got 200 Twitter followers and shit, and got some random redneck named Bob as they goddamn avatar and shit with an American flag behind their head, talking shit about basketball, and they be going hard. Well, nigga, I'm trying. That's why, cause it's just you got to deal. Them be the ones that get you in the bullshit. And they don't even be burner accounts. It just be niggas who don't got no friends on Twitter.
It be people who I see in person sometimes. They don't say these things to me. And it be like, it ain't even like a fighting thing, but it's like, if you know me, you know where I'm coming from. I'm not even coming from a place of defending nothing. Like, to me, niggas tweak more than anybody. I prefer, like, men, we be tweaking. Niggas be tweaking. When I hear stuff women say, most time I gotta believe it first because I know niggas be tweaking. So it's not like I'm on niggas' side like that, but I'm still a nigga. So you know, where I come from, that word ain't such a big deal. And I'm not also calling nobody a bitch either. But if I'm talking or referring to some situation and I say, man, the bitch was acting crazy and then yada yada yada, like, nigga, last week I had a tweet that went viral. I got $40 for this tweet, and it said bitch in it.
Elon running Twitter bucks.
My whole mentions was full of women laughing. Not nobody was mad, and most of them looked good too, but not none of them was bad.
But the nigga who seen John Redcorn says bitch in the tweet, and it's everybody like, up and on.
First of all, if you ever heard his music, and first of all, he's from Inglewood. Number one, if you met any women from Inglewood, nigga, like they say that very freely.
They say it's so crazy out there. So him saying that is him being in his place, and I said talking in hood, and then I woke up this morning and everybody was quoting talking in hood, and I'm like, I'm talking to this person as if this person knows me. I didn't expect y'all to be window shopping and see what I'm talking about and standing at the window and blowing it up like I'm having a conversation, which is another thing about Twitter. But we could get off this subject. You know what I'm saying? I feel like y'all understand what I'm saying. I feel like the conversation is needed, and if we do need to change the way we talk, I'm not against like that shit. If you that offended, be that offended all the time. You know, don't pick and choose when you that offended, because sir, you know, he didn't mean no harm. But anyway, my next question to you guys for the evening is, has this been the least Black History Month that you felt in your lifetime?
Yes.
Yes, 100%. And I don't even know why, but it just has been.
Like, I ain't in school. I don't got to dress up like Martin Luther King. I don't got to do, you know, I haven't heard a lot of Martin Luther King. I don't really want to hear a lot of Martin Luther King. And it's not even his fault. It's who's going to play it for me?
Yeah.
You know, they're going to play it for you when it's this time of the year. And they're going to act like these people matter right now in these 29 days this year. We got 29 of them bitches. But I'm sorry, I can't say that word. But
you see,
you know what I'm saying?
You see, it's just natural. It's natural.
I ain't even talking about I'm not even talking about women. I'm not even talking about women. But
trust me, my girl done told me so many times. She was like, "You got to stop saying that." I was like, "I'm not calling nobody a bitch. That's just how I talk."
Yeah, and it's like other words that you can't say anymore because they think it's something. They took it and made it something that it wasn't. So it's like whatever. But with this Black History shit, yeah, we got like this year we had Jay-Z got the thing. You know, he got the honorary Grammy shit. That was Black History shit, I guess. And he's like the most nominated artist. Is the most nominated artist of all?
Yeah, I think the most nominated artists are.
Right.
We had an all Black Super Bowl for the second year in a row.
Super Bowl, all Black.
But time out. I also knew he was off to a bad start because on the day of the Super Bowl, Chili gonna post her white boyfriend talking about happy birthday. Shorty, why you couldn't wait? Why you do it on Usher Day? You choose to post this white man.
Right. She did
that shit was shady, bro. That
was terrible. But we did have Usher, another Black History thing going on. But it still feel like, I guess we done with black people might be done with Black History Month or something.
Well, I think it's also because now if you look at like education and shit, like, well, first of all, if it wasn't for like my mama, my auntie, my granny, my pops, they taught me my Black history. I wouldn't learn this shit in school, nigga. Like, when I went to Curie, but like we had one bullshit Black History Month assembly every February. But nigga, for motherfucking Cinco de Mayo, nigga, red fucking carpet. Like, so it just really goes to like who's teaching this shit? You know what I'm saying? And I feel like the further we get away from it, it's like people don't even know certain shit. So that's why it's gonna feel like it's not a Black History Month anymore, because they're not even, you know, the younger generation aren't even knowing the smallest shit there is to know about it.
Yeah, I'm kind of. I feel you, bro. And another thing I say, and this is probably a benefit of us growing up in Chicago, like we grew up around Black people, so we feel different about this shit. Like I was telling somebody the other day, like growing up, my dentist was Black, my orthodontist was Black when I had braces, my doctor was always Black, like my teachers were Black, my principals were Black. So like
I
growing
ain't
up in
never had no
Chicago, we
black
got a different
orthodontist, nigga.
bro. Martha Donis was black, G. I forgot what he named, but bro was black.
Nigga, where the
But
fuck you
nah,
grew
G.
up at?
Growing
This
growing
nigga
up in
was a
Chicago.
Huxtable. This nigga
No,
was a
no, not
Huxtable.
even. Don't do that. Don't do that. Here you go. Here you go. We are nigga.
No
Niggas
wonder
move to
you
the
a
suburbs and they
Morehouse
forget
man.
about you, brother.
Yeah.
You a wild nigga.
You know
See,
what
I
I'm
wasn't
saying?
even going. See, the bang went there.
No.
I get it.
Yeah.
You
Nah,
a
my
Jackson
But nah,
Hill
bro.
ass nigga?
Being from the crib, no, I'm not. Being from the crib, G, it just felt different being black. Like it was one of those. That's why when I got to school and you get all these, like we say, the new blacks, the nigga that's suddenly proud to be black when you 22. Like
Yeah.
I've always had that. I've always felt that. So it's never been a need for me to go extra. So I think that's the benefit of growing up at the crib.
Sit on the orthodontist. He got bread. Drug lords.
Man.
He definitely said dentist and orthodontist.
Oh, my teeth was fucked up, boy. Like my shit
What-
was crazy. So
What type of insurance you were on, bro?
hey, shout out to my mom, Blue Cross Blue Shields. G.
Ooh,
That
good
nigga
one.
said,
They
don't
got
get
a
it
great
twisted.
deal downtown.
Ooh.
Hey, but nah, like I grew up black too. So like when I grew up, like I was about to say, I grew up kind of sheltered, like in a way, because I thought everybody had black teachers growing up until for real, probably when I was like 19 or something. And when I realized like y'all didn't have no black teachers for real growing up. Like I get it in high school, I ain't had no black teachers. Like, I had black teachers in high school, but like people were saying like they first male black teacher or their first black teacher was when they was in like 9th grade or something. And it's like my first, I grew up with nothing but black teachers. I went to school in Roseland for like the first 12 years of my life. So when I moved to the burbs, I went to school out there for 2 years, and that's when I first had a white teacher. And I was like, oh, this is different. They get to dissect shit. We was talking about real black history, like Marcus Garvey, and we heard about Nat Turner. They ain't go too deep. They ain't want to tell us too much of what he
They
did.
ain't want to tell us the real about Nat Turner. That's
They
why they
told
kept
us a
shit
little
low.
bit. They said, no, that nigga rebelled. And they said,
Yeah. Exactly. Exactly, man. But what's the next thing you got for on your list?
okay, so look, I was looking at something the other day. It was Gilbert Arenas had said, came at Charles Barkley, and he said basically that Charles Barkley was a follower. He was a ring chaser, and that he was chasing rings when he went to Phoenix. And I hit one of my guys up. He a big Gilbert guy. He likes to watch that shit and listen to the shit on there. So I'm like, yo, he said, I'm like, we got into the debate of was Charles Barkley the leader of the team? And my question to you guys is, what do you guys consider a leader for real? Like, what do you consider the leader of the team? Now I understand that there is guys who not always the superstar that's the leader of the team. Like Joakim Noah was kind of the leader of the Bulls.
Yeah, I was
He
about to say
he
that.
was
Yeah.
the guy. But and there's other guys. I feel like Draymond Green is the leader of the Warriors. But
I feel like in some aspects, I feel like with the Bulls 100%, Joe Kim was the leader. You know, Derek doesn't talk much. You know, I think Derek was fine with that. I feel like Draymond, I still feel Steph is the leader of the Warriors because they're damn near shoot for Steph. Like Steph don't have to be the rah-rah nigga. Like,
But see,
Steph
that's why I disagree with you. That's why I
What?
disagree with you. I think Draymond is the leader, but for lack of a better term, you know, Steph Curry is basketball GD. Like he's the nigga that's on the team, that the light skinned nigga on the team that was gonna be something. So you got to
Basketball
make
GD.
sure that he protected. So
Okay.
Draymond is the dude on the team that ain't as talented as dude right there, but he gonna make sure he's straight. So we bless him
all the
in.
rest of them.
Yeah, so we bless him in as a member of the gang and shit, but you ain't got to come to no meetings and shit like that. Just play basketball, hoop. We gonna make sure that you straight. We gonna make sure you have shoes and all of that shit. But then when you make it, you know what I'm saying? Just make sure that I'm coming along to ride with you, or just tell the high school and make me the head coach of the basketball team when I get a little bit older. That's what that is to me.
I'll say this about the Charles Barkley thing, and this is why I don't like, you know, what Gilbert Arenas was saying, because what Gilbert was saying was basically, you know, he was ring chasing. We gotta stop looking at 90s shit like how they look at it today. You know what I'm saying? That wasn't looked at as a ring chasing situation. Now, when he went to Houston and they tried to pull off that bullshit with Dream and Pippen, yeah, I can consider that ring chasing. But Phoenix wasn't that type of situation. He was a clear leader on that team. Made everybody better. You know, you had Kevin Johnson, Thunder Dan Marley. You know, they had their whole little team. It took them from a regular ass playoff team to winning what 62.
They even had a crackhead on the team.
They had a crackhead.
Yeah, literally. Yeah, exactly. I think a lot of these players are just like they don't like Chuck talking, so they want to have revisionist history on his playing days.
I think that's the thing. Like I that's why I had tweeted give me Charles Barkley over Gilbert every day. Now back in the day, 06, 07, 08, I was fucking with Gilbert. Gilbert was the guy to me for those 4 years. But it was 4 years.
Yep.
Charles Barkley, I was really fucking with. That was like when I first started watching basketball, Charles Barkley was the man. You know what I'm saying? So it's like I'm not even gonna go there, but it's not even, to me, it's not just about discrediting him, but that was another thing I was gonna bring up, and I'm glad you said that. My next topic was respecting the culture. So the conversation went from me and one of my guys to me and some of my guys who play college basketball and have played against pros and, you know, did all of that type of shit. But we got into the conversation of them saying, one of them said Larry Bird was Huff.
Oh my God.
And I wanted to tell him, like, man, Larry Bird will give you, if y'all play basketball today, he probably beat you, bro.
Yeah.
If it's make it take it, he's going to probably beat you. Like, and my thing is like a lot of people, and this ain't just in basketball, but it's mostly in just basketball. It's sports, but it's basketball and it's in music. We like to discredit, really rap. We like to discredit whatever came before us for some reason. And it's like, how do you discredit, like, how can you discredit the 80s, right? Because they said 80s basketball was trash. Man's told me, man, they was smoking cigarettes and drinking beer in the locker room. I said, man, Miles Bridges is doing lean.
Right.
Niggas doing lean.
Ron Artest was getting any at halftime, my nigga. Like
across the street from the United Center.
Lamar Odom told you what he was on.
He was on crack.
He was on crack.
Niggas hate Bill Simmons, but he had this line in his book that was so funny. He said 80s basketball was so wild. He said some of them will get up there. You think they'd get down and snort the fucking foul line if they could. Like just because the line was white. Like that's how bad it was, bro.
I seen a mini doc on the 1986-87 Phoenix Suns. And you talk about a team full of crack and cocaine. Like that, I didn't know that James Edwards, who eventually becomes the center of the world champion Detroit Pistons, was allegedly reportedly involved in cocaine.
Allegedly,
reportedly, the sale of cocaine, trafficking.
James Edwards look like he do cocaine.
But see, but a lot of the niggas in the 80s look like that shit. I just didn't think that nigga was the one.
That was their party drug, Jay. It was
like that was their party drug. Niggas be listening to loose ends, slow down and shit. Like, hold on, nigga.
Right on.
I got a summer session story about my uncle. I'll tell that later.
Oh yeah, well yeah, you gotta come on the show and do that. I'll say this about with if you look like different eras. I hate like when we try to compare the different eras because it was different. Like, and I think it's on both sides. You got old heads who be talking shit about the young niggas and like, oh y'all motherfuckers couldn't play in our game. Like Luka will bust niggas ass in the 80s. Like with the same thing with Luka will have fun. The same thing. Bird getting up shot. Imagine Bird being able to shoot 6 threes a game.
Like
right.
So it's like imagine that volume. He's gonna get all crazy too.
At 6'9".
Rebounds. He already getting 10 rebounds a game. Like people sleep on the fact that he getting 10 rebounds, 7 assists. This is his numbers for 7-8 years. 27, 25, 12, and 7. Like this is, but like my thing was if you eliminate, if we sit up here and say, you know, this person could take away that person's space in the top players of all time list. First of all, let's start here. The NBA has been around since what, 1948?
Yeah, something like that. Yeah.
It's been 5,000 people played in that shit total. Like not even fully 5,000. It's been like 4,800 players ever played in the NBA. So to sit up and say niggas is weak is crazy. because it be niggas who average 30. Every nigga in the league averaged 30 in high school.
Yep.
Every last one.
Niggas who telling me that these niggas is weak didn't average 30 in high school.
That's
So
what I
this
be trying to
nigga
tell.
30.
That's what I be trying to tell people, like, cause I moved down to Miami, and so motherfuckers don't really know about Pat Bev or know about John Shire. And I
Yeah.
have to tell these people, like, yo, like, these are walking 30-point buckets. Like, you
Will
over here,
Bynum.
you clown him up. What? Will Bynum, Tony fucking TB.
Sharon
Like,
Collins.
come on.
Yeah.
Come on. I played baseball with Sharon Collins at Hamlin Park, Little League. So, like, I'm like, wait, hold on. Like, you clowning Pat Bev because he's averaging whatever 6 points. Do you not realize he was giving motherfuckers 30 on nightly in high school? Like, everybody that gets to the league, the 13th man and the first man, they will all be able to put up 40 on your head. There is no Larry Markkinen without Dirk. There's no Dirk without Larry Bird. Like, that's just what it is.
That's how I feel about even like when we talking about this basketball, like because that's they everybody love Kyrie. I heard y'all talking about him before I got on.
Yeah.
Kyrie is one of, like you said, he's one of the greatest players to watch ever. Like just watching basketball is the most beautiful shit you could ever see. Some of it, and you don't get Kyrie without AI. You don't get AI without Timmy. You don't get Timmy without Zeke. Zeke is the 80s. How's the 80s Huff?
Yep. Yep.
Adrian Danley is a nigga who we don't talk about ever.
Yes.
30 like four years straight.
Yeah, AD went crazy back in
And
the
niggas can say whatever. They can watch
With no threes, without shooting a three heavy.
bro.
It's a dude who be making fun of old hoop on the internet. And and they share his videos. This is trash. But it's like you clipping up shit. Have y'all ever sat back and watched any of these full games?
Yeah,
like
I watched
yeah,
all them
they
on
was going
Showtime.
at it.
Bad Boy,
Even looking
the
at the
Bad Boy
numbers.
Pistons was assaulting people, bro.
Right. But actual, like, a really good like thing to bring up while we having this conversation is just the shit that came out the last like 48 hours where they were asking Tim Duncan if Tim Duncan could handle playing against Jokic in today's game. And it's like you see like how quickly y'all fucking forget like who Tim Duncan is. You know what I'm saying? Like that motherfucker is on people's top 5, top 10 list. Like, why are you like, and it's just in everything, like you saying, like everything that this culture has become, this era is microwave. Is I didn't see it, or that shit is weak, and we just want it now. It's Instagram is short for fucking, or is long for instant gratification. Like that's just the era that we're living in. So people discredit people. I mean, I'm a baseball fan, football fan, and we see it. Like, oh, Patrick Mahomes wasn't able to be able to do this in the old era, but Dan Marino could do it in this era. It's like, yo, what are you talking about? Like, there's levels and there's a natural progression to sport. The athletes get bigger. The athletes get quicker, stronger. Rappers, the cadence gets different. The wordplay gets different. Like everybody evolves, but there's no reason to like shit on the previous era, right? Like you can't, like you can't shit on that to get, like
how can I learn it?
It's like people shitting on people's fashion now. It's like, well, hold on. Look at some pictures of your mom and your dad back in the 80s. Like, look at the wild shit they were wearing. So
yeah, bro. Yeah. And I agree. And it's also unfair just off the strength that the way you come up, the way you brung up is how you play. So like for a lot of these dudes, everybody says LeBron wasn't physical. It's because he didn't grow up in the physical era. Like when he was coming up, like, yeah, the pros was playing like that. But by the time he got to high school, by the time he was getting ready to come to the league, that wasn't the game. So as he's been playing, this is how he plays. He plays smart. He's a high IQ dude. So like, just like if I dropped him back in the 80s, if I brought Isaiah Thomas forward to here, he would be Chris Paul on steroids, bro. Right. He would be doing the same shit. Like the greats are the greats for a reason. Like, and it's really more about just we need to, like you said, respect. And it kind of goes into what we were talking about earlier with Cam and him getting disrespected at his camps, but fucking Peyton Manning, Drew Brees, and all of them, that's not happening at their camps. It's like just there's this lack of respect for the history and for the people who have come before us. And it makes no sense, bro. Because like you said, we're building off of what they built. Without them, you have nothing. So it makes no sense to sit here and try to shit on them. And it's sad when you really think about it. Like, more we start talking, we really start sounding like the old heads, but it's really how it is. Like, I look around and I see people and be like, what are you doing? Like, just flat out. Like, it don't make no sense.
How could you even say these things? That's how I look at it. It's like you say, we building off of what was already built. It's called evolution. If Muggs understood that thing, then we would, move forward. And main thing I was gonna say before this is, before I get out of this, is if we disrespect and discredit the competition of the greats, we disrespecting the greats.
Yep.
Because if you telling me that the comp is whack, then you telling me his 5 championships don't count.
Yep.
You know what I'm saying? And shit like that. So we gotta respect all coaches, especially in our black community. We can't keep on doing this shit. Especially we was just talking about Black History Month. Like,
Yep.
keep up with what we get, because we the only motherfuckers who argue about who that type of shit. Why everybody can't be great? You know what I'm saying? So like, let it be that. Last thing before I get out of here, this gonna break it up. Just want to know if you guys have been watching. So my girl get me watching this Love Is Blind thing, and she got me hooked.
Have I?
What? That shit.
I'm locked in. Goddamn it.
Bang probably don't be dropping in on Love Is Blind. He don't look like he partake at all. He
Nah.
He said
Nah,
no.
But I be seeing
locked
niggas,
in.
I be seeing y'all talk on social, be laughing and
boy.
shit.
because
That
it's
nigga
crazy. Tell me this though. So first of all, do you believe in any of the relationships on this show this season at all? I believe
No.
in that
No.
one, the one boring
No.
one.
Now this for the first time. See, I've been shout out to women who put me on this like 3 years ago. Because my guilty pleasure is crappy reality TV. I will watch crappy reality TV all day because I'm going back to real world Jersey Shore, nigga. I found out that a Jersey Shore reunion. I watched like 5 episodes of Peacock this weekend, nigga. I was like, oh shit, Vinny and them niggas still at it. But like for the first time, I don't think any of these couples are for real because don't none of them like each other. Like it's not even like close. Like when dude. What's Buddy? I think his name's Kenny, the one who was with the white girl.
Kenny.
And
the gay principal.
Yeah. Nah, his cousin
Did I go
came
to
out and said,
that?
his cousin came out and said he was gay, but I don't
oh,
know.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, nah, like real talk. His cousin on Facebook said that he was gay, and somebody said that's your cousin for real. Somebody posted another picture of her with the boy with him and saying congratulations when he got his degree. She was with him when he at his graduation. She said he was gay. I don't want to allegedly. All of this is alleged.
Right.
You know, Photoshop could be a thing, but yeah, she called him gay. I was like, damn, your own blood, your flesh and blood. She said he only went on there to prove to his family he wasn't.
Well, see, then this thing to me, I feel like he was cool with it, but when Shorty was like, "Yo, how you gonna have that white woman take care of your black child?" This nigga was like, he went back thinking
about that.
Bro, that nigga didn't talk for an episode and a half. He ain't talk for an episode and a half, nigga. He was sitting
I'm like, bro, you from Carolina, you ain't think about that. Like, I know y'all was talking. We from Chicago, it's the most segregated big city of them all.
Yeah.
So we have to think like that.
Yeah.
But like you from the South, my G, like you didn't think about that at all.
Man.
That man sat back and said, let me get on this phone. Let me text my homegirls and tell them, all right, she white, y'all. He was nervous. He didn't know what to do. And I thought they was the best chemistry-wise out of everybody.
Right.
You got them. You got who's the only black girl on there? AD. Her
AD.
and what like she dating Tory? That nigga like Tory Craig off the Bulls. I'm like, yeah, this
Like-
nigga. This nigga is
too. He weird.
Yeah,
too,
he's a goofball. Like he one of them niggas. Like, hi, first of all, y'all at lunch, you staring off into some shit and just say, I just don't want to cheat on you. Like, nigga, what?
He's setting
Like,
the exit up. He's setting the exit up right now.
He just,
that
I just
man
don't
is
want to cheat on
crazy,
you,
bro. And it's like,
that shit is nuts.
I don't get it. I know when he said he wasn't from his parents wasn't from America, I started to understand a little better. Like, okay, you a first generation American, so yeah, you got that strict family. They from the islands or something. They on your ass. So maybe that's something to do because he got a little social awkwardness to him that'd be like, I don't know about you, bro. You hiding something. Like when he first got in the room with the girl, he said, I'm thinking about getting a cat. And I thought to myself, woman beater. Only guys who go get cats either are allergic to dogs and they need somebody there, or they're women beaters. They trying to prove they so soft and gentle. So you come in and think they ain't on nothing and they smack you up. Woman beater. No man just decides at the moment he meets you, he want to get a cat.
Yeah, the cat is crazy.
Practicing for something. He waiting on something, man. So, but I think the most successful group couple is gonna be the blonde haired dude and the Hispanic girl. I think they're gonna be
Oh yeah. You talking
They
about
so boring.
dude?
Don't nobody care about them. Don't
Yeah,
nobody give a
dude,
fuck.
born. That nigga is like anti-condom. He like shit. I get a
Right.
vasectomy if I put a condom
But you
on.
know, I think he's setting the tone because they live in one of them heartbeat states. So he like, now listen, now this is gonna be a touchy subject if we cross this line. So let's not cross it.
Let's not
That's why he
cross
keep
it
asking
at
about
all.
birth control.
You want
Yeah.
birth control, right? You want a BC?
You know,
But
I think
he been on her ass, G.
I think the best way to end this is to talk about Shorty said she's like Megan Fox. Now here, look here, man. Look,
You talking about what
man.
now? That shit I saw with the heavy chin.
Yeah, crimson
Bitch
chin.
look like she motherfucker.
You look like Megan Fox if you got her face and then you stretched it out. Like you just stretched it right on out. Yeah. You know what I'm saying? Do her like some
My
slime.
shit.
Then she
And that's
look
what
like
that's what
Spy
got Buddy
Kids,
fucked up.
like Spy Kids when they took the putty and that's exactly they just pull it down a little bit.
Like Rita from Power Rangers and shit. Like that's kind of like
Floops Foogly.
Foogly.
That shit look like the McDonald's moon, nigga. That's
Yeah,
what
she look like a moon.
She look like the McDonald's moon, nigga.
Y'all saw the Steeler when they hugged when he first met her and he was looking in the camera like,
bruh. That's why I think like
y'all
I'm waiting
anything on this.
I'm waiting for the next episode because when she was yelling like you fucked her, like yeah, when he saw what Shorty looked like he was like,
first of all,
no.
Jimmy funny as hell because when she was talking about sex, he said, "Yeah, to be honest, we could chill on
You
that."
wanted it,
yeah. Like
he was like, "Shorty, get off me!" Like he's like, "Nah, I'm good.
I just got off work. I want to play my game. I don't got time for you. You told me you look like Megan Fox, and I slam the door every day. Until this shit was over. You told me you look like Megan Fox. Slam the door. Tell me about me missing out on a Kardashian sister. She a Kardashian with a baby. Oh, if he'd have knew she was a Kardashian with a baby, I guarantee he would have changed his fucking mind then.
100%. I was like, yeah, you gonna. She has a 10-year-old, but you'll deal with that. When
the shit happened, I looked at my girl. I said, "He gonna regret this."
No, Shorty did too. She's like, "You're gonna vomit when you see me."
So that nigga, you're gonna choke.
You're gonna choke.
She said that because she saw Megan. She knew what the fuck he was about to get into.
She knew what he was on. She said, "This is not competition. Are you crazy? This girl is insecure, man."
She's like, "You're gonna vomit." That's how Torrey Craig was when he saw AD was falling in love with the real estate agent.
Matthew?
Nigga. Yeah, he's like,
this guy.
This is Joey from Friends. Like, what the fuck?
Why you bullshitting? He gamed her up, nigga.
Yeah,
he gamed her up until the other white shorty said something. AD's about to go, G. Like you saw.
He gave her a timeline. You have until tomorrow.
And AD is low key a little bit of a snake. She broke up 3 relationships on the show that she wasn't even involved in.
Hey man, you see that as I understand.
She broke the white girl heart. She broke the other white girl heart because she told the black dude something. And then she told somebody, you better than this. I'm like, listen, girl, you too. You already too much. You're like, you don't need to do all this.
You're doing too much, man. But
yeah, I just wanted to break that up with y'all, man. It's hopefully we could come back again and do this again. You know what I'm saying? But I want to break it up from just the sports talk sometimes here.
100%, man. Definitely, man. We're looking forward to have you back on here next Monday when we'll get into the other stuff we got going on. Let them know of course we got your what a follow and everything. Tell them you got anything you're working on at the moment.
Man, just keep looking out for the Culture Cellar. That's something I've been working on with my cousin. We got a little platform that we're it should be launched soon. Like we pretty much got a lot of material. We just coming out with stuff that got to do with the culture. So that's why this is perfect for what I'm doing. Y'all could just look out for that. Follow me, at the shit that you see down there, Larry is Legend on Instagram, Larry is Legend 1, and just keep up with what we on.
We've been looking for a name for the segment. I think that Respect the Culture is probably the best name for this. So
I like that.
We can roll with that. Respect the Culture each and every Monday on I'm Not Gonna Hold You. Follow Lero and Larry at Larry is Legend on Twitter and Instagram, man. Lero, we gonna holler at you next Monday, bro.
All right, y'all have a good one, bro.
Yes, sir. As we end this next episode, we're gonna get ready for our our local hour. We call this local hour warm up here, man. As we wrap this up, of course, you can follow. Well, not follow, subscribe Barbers Chair Network, patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. Get ready to watch the local hour, man. As we wrap this up, let's talk about Cody Bellinger for about 5 minutes. We'll get more in depth about Cody in the local hour. He signed for 3 years, $80 million, opt-outs after the first and the second year. This happened very late 2 nights ago. Quickly, Mikey, what's your take on this? Of course, we'll do the full Cub breakdown in the local hour. What's your initial thoughts on him resigning?
I think it was a win-win for both sides. Cody wanted to be around the $30 to $35 million AAV, the average annual value, and he got that. He is now the highest single season paid Chicago Cubs athlete ever. Opt-outs after both years, the first 2 years, reminds me of Carlos Correa deal. And if you guys remember the Carlos Correa situation last year, was poised to sign a big deal with the Mets. Injury came back, signed with the Twins on a shorter deal with some opt-outs, just to kind of bet on himself. I think the league was telling you what they thought about Cody Bellinger. They wanted to see it again. So they weren't going to take a risk. They weren't going to go ahead and pay the Scott Boras ticket of the 6, 7, 8-year contract to lock him in. So I think it works out, and the Cubs didn't have to go ahead and spend 6, 7, 8 years, worth of money on somebody that they might not be sold in. They have somebody named Pete Crow Armstrong that should be taking over center field in the next couple of years, maybe even later this year. So I think it works out for both sides. It makes me feel like nobody else was actually really in on him seriously for the money that he wanted.
Dante, what's your take on this as we wrap this up?
Yeah, bro. Like you said, one thing about Boras, him and his clients, this is the first big Boras domino to fall, but he's gonna try the way to spin it. He didn't get the 9-figure deal that he was looking for with Cody. But he did, like you said, get the high AAV, and that's we'll probably start to see more of his clients slide in there. But as far as the Cubs, I liked it a lot because, like we said, they've been pretty quiet this offseason, and even with bringing in Craig Counsell, and I do believe they're going to rely on Counsell to cultivate a lot of that young talent because he is one of the best. I was almost saying X's and O's like this football, but he's one of the best managers in the game of baseball. So, he really knows the ins and outs, great with situations. And so I think they're hoping and banking on him teaching and helping those young talented players take it to the next level. Because when you look at the Cubs' first run where they broke the curse, that was fueled by, their prospects. Granted, they did make the Lester signing. You did bring in guys and have them help you, but it was fueled by your prospects. So if you're going to do it again, and we've seen throughout Major League Baseball, this is the way to go. It's through your prospects. It's not necessarily just trying to load up and buy as many people as you can. The Dodgers have done it, but they've won just as many World Series as the Braves, who built their team through, the draft and things like that. So I think for the Cubs, this was a good signing. Cody keeps a consistent bat in that lineup. And like I told you, I think Cody is really going to take off and get back into that MVP form.
Yeah, man. I think that, I feel like for the first time, I was watching on Levitar the other day. I think it was David Sampson was on there. He was like, I'm waiting for a team to give Scott Boras the fuck you. And it doesn't feel like the Cubs had a price on their head, in their minds, and decided we're just going to keep this. He's either going to roll with it or he ain't going to roll with it, man. And I feel like, you had to get it. That was the only way to make this offseason somewhat successful. We'll talk about what I really feel about the offseason in local hour, but I think, it's a good deal for both teams, and it gives Cody flexibility. If he has another great year, he can opt out and test the market again. So I like it for both sides, man. Alex said 90 wins. We will be talking about that in the local hour, man. Subscribe to the Patreon, patreon.com/Barbers Chair Network. We're getting ready to do the Chicago Sports Local Hour. We're going to recap everything we talked about with Jason Leiser in the first hour. We're going to talk about whose future is worse between the two Reinsdorf-owned teams, the Chicago White Sox or the Chicago Bulls. And, we'll have a little Cubs in there, man. So y'all can follow me on Twitter and Instagram at BarbChair Scott. Y'all can follow Dante at OctoberZonte on Twitter and Instagram. You can follow Mikey at Junior_Solito. Follow JR Bang at JR Bang on all social media handles. Big shout out to Jason Leiser for joining us. Shout out Pavy Weekend in the Association. Of course, Larry is the legend for joining us for his new weekly segment, Respect the Culture. He will be back with that next week. Local out right now. I'm not gonna hold you halftime on Wednesday. I'm pretty sure I'm gonna have some new news to talk about because everything is evolving out there at the combine, and then the full cast will be back on Friday as Courtney will be back and she'll be doing the Hot Corner. Cousin Dan Fridays will finally be back after a couple week hiatus. He has some family stuff to take care of this past week, so he will be back this week. The homie Mike will be back as we have another edition of Can I Get Live. You know, we got a lot of new segments and we'll be coming an actual show. As I ran it on my Instagram this weekend, stop calling my shit. Stop calling our shit a podcast. It's not a fucking podcast. Now, is there a podcast version? Yes. Shout out to y'all who listen to the audio version on the Barbershop Network podcast channels. But all of us collectively, all 5 of us on this show, and everybody who are correspondents on the show, we work too damn hard on this. We all be calling this fucking podcast. It's live. We got notes in and out. I didn't have schedule I had to deal with all. Yeah, you know, it's a show, nigga. It's a show. It's a show. Well, what Dave Spell say? Fucking pay me. To any of you brands out there, this is what this is going to be the show so we can all have the view of South Beach like Mikey got right now. This is a show that we putting together, man. So we going to holler at y'all in the local hour. We up out of here.